I have a story I'm excited to share with us all. Yes. But before we do, let's just do a quick little check-in because we're kind of living in your kingdom right now. We're living in your domain. Yeah. Maia, for those of us who are only joining us via the audio platform, where are we right now?
We're in the new studio, and hopefully
we got a studio.
And hopefully, if you're joining via audio only, you can tell the difference by the mic. At least I spent a lot of the podcast's money, so not my own money, but I mean, technically, we don't need to talk about that. Let's talk about financials.
We made a joint decision. It's podcast business hour.
Yeah, it's podcast business hour.
And you'll notice we did have to sell all of the art to finance it, too.
Yeah, eventually Grant and I will decorate, but that I needed to get my actual desk set up. Earlier today, I didn't have Wi-Fi. Right. I didn't have good Wi-Fi in the house, and I had to upload tomorrow's episode because I was super delayed doing that. Tuesday. Yeah. Usually I have to start the upload on Monday, or else it like just flat out the YouTube flat out won't be ready by Wednesday. But Casey kept talking about how the Wi-Fi is going to be so fast and everything. And then I like was trying to like load Podbean, our distributor's like website, to upload the audio, and it like would not load. And I was like, I don't have Wi-Fi. And Casey always says to me, press X to doubt. And so he just sent X. And I was like, okay, come here then. And so he came here and spent about 20
cute.
minutes.
You have a little code name for I don't believe you, but it's cute. It's charming.
It was
cute.
You
happy couples couldn't be.
I wouldn't call us happy.
You're just in the middle of the move.
We're moving right now, and I think both of us are like at each other's throats. We're at the end. We're towards the end, but his mom is coming into town on Friday to help us finish like setting up, and she's gonna do the guest room and stuff. And so hopefully by the time she leaves, we'll be like done.
His house will be at home.
Yeah.
Because turns out what you need for this house to be home is AC and Wi-Fi, which you did not have before.
I had Wi-Fi. It turns out all I need is AC. When we didn't have AC, I was like, with love, I'm going to kill both of us. We're going to go out Romeo and Juliet style, except it's just going to be Juliet killing both of us.
That is actually, I think, what happens, isn't it?
Well, Juliet, like, fake dies to be with Romeo. But Romeo sees her and then and, like, kills himself.
But is it with a dagger or is it with poison?
I don't remember which one does which. One of them is dagger and one
daggers?
of them is poison.
Is it fake dagger? Is it fake poison dagger?
That might be it. I don't know. I don't really care to find out.
I'm certified to teach English in the state of Colorado.
Which he keeps letting us know.
I had to pay for it. I'm not over it yet.
How much was that test?
Don't worry about it.
Oh.
It was more than 100, less than 200.
Okay. That was about the FE, I think.
Yeah, I would love to know which one of our friends who works in the private sector has spent more than $100 on something for work, knowing full well they would not get reimbursed for it. That would actually be, dare I say, inappropriate to ask for reimbursement. That like in teaching, there's not even a person to go ask about reimbursement for, and so I'll just have to embezzle it all back. Kidding. Donate to your local school. No, it's wonderful. But speaking of school,
yes,
school's about to start. And so when you start summer, you're like, oh, let's travel. Let's get the hell out of here. Let's go do stuff. And then you get into those like doldrums, like the middle of the summer when like.
Casey just walked past my office window and scared the shit out of me. Who's there?
Sorry, the love of my life was just outside the house we own together. Let my heart rate get back down to a resting pace.
I thought he was leaving me. I can't afford this mortgage for myself.
Hey. I got a guest room.
Yeah, but it'll be kind of. I have to tell you the drama from when we closed this house. But continue your story.
I mean, I'm settling into like a 5-minute thing right now.
So okay. No, that's fine. No.
Okay. So in doldrums, middle of the summer, you're like, what is time? It doesn't exist. Like,
yeah.
I definitely woke up at 12:30 one day during the summer, like in the afternoon, right?
Oh,
and I had a text message from a gentleman caller who was like, what have you gotten up to today? And it's like, you can't tell him. You just woke up. Yeah. You got to be like,
I've had a relaxing morning.
Went on a walk and then came back and like read a book for a little bit. Sorry, all I saw was the car rapidly pulling out. He might actually be leaving you.
No, he has to go return a dock that actually he had to buy on his company's card, I think.
He was so excited for us to have a studio space so he could walk around the rest of the house, and then
he
literally
promptly
1
leaves.
minute into like the first studio episode,
He was like,
gone.
God, Maya won't annoy me with her dumb Wi-Fi problems. I don't need to worry about getting her Ethernet to this
He
concrete
just texts
office.
you X, and then in parentheses our marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyways,
We have a Google Calendar invite to get a marriage license in like a week.
Good. I have a Google Calendar invite to remember when your elopement is, so I can send you what I've been. Anyways.
Okay.
So those are the doldrums in the middle of the summer, and then as you start to approach August, you remember that you're mortal and that you'll have to go back to work again.
Yeah.
And at least for myself, that like last week, I do more just activities in that last week than I did like the entire month of July. And so it's like, let's go get lunch at my favorite place. You know, the place I was going to go to 10 times and I have not been to once yet because I wake up and have coffee at 12:30 in the afternoon. And by the time I'm hungry, I'm not even joking. I was talking to this one guy and he was like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm fixing up lunch right now. And he goes, it's 4. I'm like, I don't know. Like, dinner's going to be at 9.
You don't need to question
exactly.
me.
Like, dinner's at 9 because I'm
Just
watching
agree.
a movie at 11. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? And so this last week, as part of this like tour de force of like, let's go do everything that we've been meaning to do all summer.
Yeah.
I went on a tour of bookstores in Denver. And it's in part because I had just finished reading a book that I was like obsessed with. I'll talk about it on the Patreon when we do a little book club. This is not me trying to tease it out. This is just me being like, I don't want to burn the content before we recorded it, you know? But I was like, I have to find something that can replace this itch. Like, I finished this book less than 10 hours ago and I need to start a similar story ASAP. And so I go to the first bookstore, go to the second, I'm going to the third, right? I'm parked on Broadway, like I'm walking around. I'm like a girl in the city, and it's like a 4-lane highway that runs down the center of Denver.
Well, this
Broadway.
story happens in Denver?
Oh, yeah.
I thought it happened on your road trip.
I'm at
Oh.
Yeah, that's where this place is. So I go to this final bookstore, and it's like I could drive to it, but like you drive and then the parking's kind of complicated, and like just like a 6-7 minute walk, it's fine. Never mind the fact that it's 97 degrees in the city and it's all concrete.
Why has it been this hot for this long?
Climate change. Okay, so I'm walking to this Lux bookstore, and I'm just saying, I arrive and I'm like kind of sweaty. And I'm kind of gross. I mean, I'm a city girl in the city, and that's just what you look like sometimes. But I'm not necessarily wanting, like, a lot of attention on myself, right? I want to, like, cool off a little bit. Bookstore should be cool. I walk in, it's not. That's fine.
Yeah.
The owners are sitting at a desk, and they both, like, turn and look at me at the same time. And they say, hi, welcome to our bookstore. And before I go any further in the story, I want you to know this. I would die for these people. I have just met them, but I'm instantly like...
You're amazing.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, you were supposed to own a bookstore in Vermont. You just didn't get all the way there, babes. Like I'm
just here.
They're so sweet.
Yeah.
And so...
They're like an elderly couple. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's very important.
And so I like step forward because they're just like tracking me, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, can we help you find anything? And this is like my 4th or 5th bookstore now, so I'm like not necessarily like looking to just like walk and browse. Like there is a specific section. So I am looking for queer fiction, like queer fiction specifically. I would love like some LGBT like romance books or like, you know, it's kind of in general, like I'm looking for a fiction book and I want there to be gay people in it. I am on record saying I really struggle listening or reading fiction that's all straight.
Yeah.
I just can't do it anymore.
I mean, and I struggle reading queer relationships.
Right.
For a similar reason.
Right. Now, before I say this next part, if you are in the car with your children or potentially your mother, or you're around coworkers and they can hear you,
We're talking about romance, so
right, you might want to press forward for the next minute before I say what I say. You have been warned. So I walk up to the desk and I go, hi, yep, sure, you can help me find something. I'm looking for you guys' queer fiction section. And they both stand up at the same time, like husband and wife, married couple. And the husband is already like coming out from around the desk and like walking to like basically kind of the complete other side of the bookstore. And the woman stands up, and as she starts to speak, I realize she has a speech difference. Just that there are significantly long pauses between the words. Cognitively, clearly she's all there. She knows what she's saying. She's just working to say it out loud. And so you just give her the space to say it, right? You don't cut off. You let them finish it. Cutting people off is rude. I'm working on that. So you just let them, you let them finish what they're trying to say, and then you respond.
I'm trying to work on that too, but don't tell Casey.
So he's not gonna edit this episode. Okay, so the husband is like peeling away, and she's standing up, and she's starting to point in the exact opposite direction at a shelf, essentially right next to the desk. And he's like, "No, honey, it's over here." And she goes, "This section right here is erotica." Which I want to make sure before I continue the story, that was not what I was asking for. And again, because her thought's not done, I'm gonna
let her finish.
I need to let her finish. And she goes, "But it's a little vanilla." And I'm still thinking, like, that could be a period. We don't need a complex compound sentence. Like, you could absolutely end it there, babes. Yeah. And there's like a mix of like horror and like laughter on my face as I'm just like, what a beautiful moment in the city. Yeah. I came in asking for queer fiction, and you're like, yeah, we got hardcore gay porn right over here. And so she's still
it's like
pointing.
Not super hardcore.
No, it's vanilla. And so she's still pointing, and like the sentence is continuing, and she goes, "It's like if Joe Biden was to look for it."
I want you to know that story aged. So I heard this story like 2 weeks ago, a week ago now. It's just as good. It's just, you are hanging on to every word that Grant / this woman is about to say.
And we're just forming this lifelong, inseparable bond.
Oh, yeah, you guys are best friends now.
Meanwhile, because not only have I not interrupted her, her husband,
oh, of course,
God bless him, has also not interrupted her. Like, she has something she wants to say. We're all going to listen to it, which means you just see this like slow motion train wreck of a suggestion. And of course I have questions like, why, when you heard queer fiction, were you like, I know what this man wants, erotica? And then also, why do you keep it right next to the front desk? So much so that you could just point to it.
I wonder if she was like trying so hard to prove that she's like an ally, that she was like, I don't think that's weird. In fact, I read this.
Exactly. No, there were elements of that too.
Yeah.
And I've experienced that before, but not in a while. The last time I experienced it, I was at this, and God bless him, I'm going to keep everyone nameless here, but I was at this tournament in small town Colorado somewhere. And they were sharing a story about how frustrating it was when you qualify like 3 girls and a gay kid to state or something. And that's only frustrating because the gay guy gets his own room. And the coaches are like, we could save like 40% of our costs if we just roomed them all together. And so their heart's absolutely in the right place. But she goes, so we have this kid, right? He's gay. And then they whip around and look at me and they go, which is totally fine. And it's like, thank you, I know. And I guess in a weird way, I am thrilled to hear you say that.
Yeah, like I'm glad.
Like, this isn't like freshman year of college. Like, we're in the year of our Lord 2020s. Yeah. Right? I want to keep things. So anyways, okay, so back to this bookstore. This is the last part. I didn't tell you this next part. Oh. So I'm in love with this place. And there's like, I then am brought to the queer fiction section that the husband wanted to show me. And there's like 4 titles, and I had read 2 of them and wasn't interested in the other 2. But I was like, I am not leaving this place.
Yeah.
No. Not only because I'm the only customer there,
but because they've both given you such detailed attention. I do the exact same thing.
And so I walk around. Thank God, you can always count in the self-help section. There's a Brene Brown book, and I actually have not read all of her work yet. So
wow, shocking.
A little, yeah. Well, it's because it's all the queer fiction that I read, all the erotica that apparently I'm diving into. Though. Right. Joe Biden stuff.
Joe Biden.
And so I grab Rising Strong by Brene Brown. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's at this point probably a decade-old book, but I can page through it. There are some gems. And there's other stuff outside of Brene Brown, too, that I read, but this works. Like, this will be great. And I go up to the front again, and I'm starting to check out. And they're thrilled that I have a book. I'm like, do you want card or cash? Which do you guys prefer? And they're like, cash if you have it. I'm like, that's super sweet. And then I'm like, oh, like, it's a little warm in here, but you guys have a lot of fans. And then the husband's like, yeah, we have an air conditioner, but it's right above our desk, and she gets a little cold. And she kind of, like, shivers a little. And she goes, so we don't turn it on. Guys, it's, like, 83 degrees in this bookstore. And I'm like, what is this, like, expression of love?
That's so cute. I turn on the AC to 65 usually.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, and I love it. That's my ideal temperature. I want to be able to put on a sweatshirt. I want to be a little cold if I'm in shorts and a tank top, right? And Casey, especially in our old place, there was a vent right under his desk, and it was like one of the most powerful vents in the house, and so he'd be shaking in his office, and he'd come down and be like, "It's so cold in here," and I'd be like, "Well."
So, yes, it's like not humid, but it's warm, right? And it's charming, and it's mostly a used bookstore, and it's everything you want this place to be, including the shopkeepers. But you can almost get the sense that the husband is trying to like rush the transaction, so that way his wife doesn't say anything else.
More, yeah.
And his wife had something cooking. So again, if you have children in the car, or if you're with your parents, you might want to skip ahead a little bit. That being said, he's like wrapping it up, and she looks at me and she goes, the man who brought most of that in,
I'm so scared,
asked if I was sure about purchasing it from him. And I said, yes. I need to make sure I'm keeping my husband happy.
Oh my
and
God!
He's seated right there. And I'm purchasing a Brene Brown book from them, standing in front of them.
I would die for this woman!
I'm just like,
oh my God.
And again, it's one of those moments too where it's like they're marching in the Pride Parade right now.
Yeah.
Like
they are covered in feathers, mostly naked.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
This is their P flag Stonewall moment.
Yes.
And I will not rob that from him.
Yeah.
From them. And it's just, and they have actually, none of their intentions have been evil at all. They are actually kind of overshooting it a little bit in a way that, like, dialed back a little bit more, might be hitting the range that they're trying to go to. Anyway, so absolutely precious. I am not laughing outwardly, but internally I'm like laughing, crying immediately. I'm like what an incredible
putting this
story.
in your brain for future reference.
And as I walk to the door, I like turn around because you can like do like the back push thing, you know, to touch the doorknobs. And as I do that, they're both looking at me, and she goes, "We hope to see you again many more times."
So that's the only bookshop I'm ever going to from here on out.
I'm legitimately like, how do I tell them I will order all books through their store and they can just take like a cut or whatever, right? Like I would do that. I mean, there's websites for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like purchase stuff through independent bookstores.
I would die for them.
Yeah,
I would follow her to war. I would trust that man implicitly with almost anything.
What a marriage of equals there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm almost afraid to say the store's name because of the story about them that I've shared.
We can bring it up in a future episode.
I would just say
okay.
There's a couple bookstores on South Broadway. Bop around. Almost all of them are locally and independently owned. Purchase a book at each one of them, and you'll eventually probably find the love of my life.
Who is the woman or the man?
I'm actually just going to kind of keep that experience. That experience is what I understand love to be. So
no, that's super fair. Because Casey and I sure don't know what it is right now. I say that with love. Obviously, we're both like super aware of each other's emotional extent right now. But it's, you can take that off. Yeah.
It's very warm.
No, yeah. I bought it specifically so that we could take it.
I was also trying to be that. I do that quiet. You were talking about the challenges of love.
Oh, there are challenges.
Fascinating. Which leads me to my next section.
Wait,
no,
I
I'm
had
kidding.
a story to
know.
say. Frick, oh, the drama from Casey and I signing the
Yes,
house.
yes.
We were at the
yes.
title
Okay.
signing for this house, right? And so it's Casey and I, and then it's the like notary person from the title company, and then it's our realtor, and I don't remember if our lender was there yet, but that's like the group that's there, right? And our lender and realtor are both women, and then the notary also a woman. And we were just like, there's a ton of documents to sign. If you've ever closed on a house, you know, and there's like initials and signing and dating, and you initial here.
And your initials get so much worse as you go through the whole process.
Casey started bad, but anyway, just kidding. He just has bad handwriting. And so we're just like joking as we're talking and joking as we go through. And at some point, the notary says something, and I respond like, oh, she's asking for aliases. And she's like, if you have any other aliases, put those down here. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that because my aliases are what my mistresses know me by, like
Nice.
as a joke.
That's hilarious.
It killed. Everyone thought it was funny. And then the notary goes, that's hilarious, but that happened once. And then she goes, yeah. I don't remember if it was the man or the woman that this happened to, but they wrote down another name, and the other partner immediately knew that this was like the key to them being cheated on by their partner. And
because they've had suspicions.
Yeah, and so
that's not a puzzle you put together with just
no,
one name.
yeah, and so they saw the alias, and she was like, yeah, they came here together, they left separately, and I think they sold the house like a week later.
Because they were already in the process of closing.
Yeah.
I'm curious, did they still have to pay the notary fee? Because like that whole thing you got to pay for.
I have no idea.
That's wild.
I was like, tell me everything.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to know.
I want to know what she looked like. I want to know what she did afterwards. I want to
Right.
know what he did afterwards. I want to know the house. Like who bought the house? Is it
I think I told
haunted?
you, my realtor, before we purchased my house, just Googled the address a couple different ways to make sure no one had been murdered there.
I have a feeling my realtor would intentionally not do that.
Tell you.
Yeah.
What was it? Oh no, here's the thing. Okay, so about like tell
Yes.
me quickly what's the story?
Tell me quickly, what's the story? Oh, that sounds great on these mics. I should take up singing.
Singing podcast. Well, you
A
know,
single mom
who works 2 jobs. We still get memes
yeah.
about that, which I love, but we haven't sang that in
I
months.
love that that's essentially our legacy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Reba McEntire. Anyways, so I know I do not have a reputation as a good secret keeper, but that's only because people don't know the secrets I am.
Yeah, you actually
know?
keep. You are a good secret keeper
Thank
for the
you.
secrets I've asked you to keep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, there's a whole area in my work life that are incredibly interesting stories that I am, because of student privacy, which is good, can't say to anybody else, you know? But there's some wild stuff that happens sometimes, you know? Yeah, like I know I'm a loud, big gay guy, right? You think I would spill every secrets? No. I'm actually pretty good at it. And when I do tell a story, I usually try to keep it pretty anonymous. And that's how you get told more stories.
Well, also, you keep it, like, anonymous, and that really draws people in. They're like, oh, I'm not supposed to know this. You're like, you feel like you're in on the bit.
Well, because you are. Let me share this with you. I'm not telling everybody this. You know, I crafted this storytelling experience for you.
Yes.
Maya started to tell some stories with the same kind of cadence that I will.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm so, like, I've taught thousands of students at this point, but I am moved by that.
It's that moment when you realize, like, your close friend is, like, developing or, like, picking up a tick that you have. Yeah.
That is why I say dope, dope, dope from a teacher I worked with for years.
I love that.
One more story, and then we can get into listener stories.
Yeah.
It is a listener episode.
Hell yeah.
So today was the first day I had to go back for work. I'm going to use the phrase PD, which stands for professional development. And professional development, educators know this. And if you're a first-year teacher, or you're about to be a first-year teacher, now we have a couple, this is something that you don't need to dread. It's just going to be a thing that happens, and that is that the first day is almost entirely pointless. You sit for 2 hours, and you listen to people who you will realistically probably never
hear from again.
Right, or actually have a conversation with, right? Like, and every single person goes up there and they're like, hi, and thank you for choosing to be teachers. For our time today, I want to talk a little bit about my own educational journey. And I understand that they are like personally committed to the field of education, but the one audience you don't need to convince education is important is a room full of teachers. It's a room
That's
full of people
super fair.
who just accepted teaching positions. We're sold, babes.
We're here.
We're here. And
We don't need the pep talk.
Right. Do you know where we were this weekend? Literally anywhere else because we were on summer break. So regardless of what you might be like in your regular meetings, this is the first thing I have been told to do since June. And so that's what you're going up against, right? And just like a long drawn out soliloquy about like why you think education's important. Maybe that's great for like an interview or something, or maybe that does help frame things.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know about my benefits and what has changed. I want to know about initiatives. I want to know about what you're doing to fill staffing positions and maintain our benefits and get us raises, right? Like everything else, not the time, not the place, right? Like
super fair.
Almost all of the actual tangible information could have been an email and it wouldn't have been a 2-hour read either. You know?
It's really interesting to hear from the teacher's perspective, especially knowing like where you're at in your career. But like, I have such a distinct memory of my first day of high school because they brought us in for freshman orientation and we had this principal at the time and he retired, I think my junior year. Absolute baller of a dude. His name was Ron. I don't want to say it. I'm going to say his full name because I don't. Ron Castagna.
Oh, dope.
I know. Him and his wife were like New Yorkers, you know?
Love it.
And they were just so like in it for the bit, you know, and just hysterical people. And the reason I got like closer with them towards the end was because I went to New York on a like choir field trip for spring break my senior year. And by that point he had retired. And so him and his wife came as counselors. And so they like, there's a really, really cool picture of me and my like high school friends on this couch in the hotel that we were staying at in New York, and he was taking the picture and he had us all like sit there and all lean like 45 degrees to the right, and it's such a cool fucking photo that it was on my gallery wall and I still have it framed. He's just such a cool dude. And have I told you about the Katy Perry thing that my school did? My junior year, he wanted, or maybe it was my sophomore year, I don't remember. Anyway, his last year, he wanted to go out with a bang. And so Katy Perry was hosting a lip syncing competition, right, through Good Morning America.
Okay.
And schools could enter this like lip sync, or like organizations could enter this lip syncing competition. I think it was mostly schools to her song Roar.
Oh, okay. I think I saw some of these.
Yeah. Our school won. And we won a like private Katy Perry concert.
Shut up. What?
Yeah. But so our lip syncing was really great. We had like every day during our homeroom, he would have us, instead of like sitting in homeroom, come down to practice the lip syncing thing. The lip syncing route. And it was like every club was their own little thing. And then they would have one or two people doing the lip syncing, walking backwards. And then we got to the next club, it would be a new person walking backwards until it got to like the whole school. And it was really cool. But that's how we won. But
if there's anything teachers love more, it is something to do with these kids during homeroom that I don't have to plan or lead.
Yes.
Like, I will do what you ask me to do because that is part of the job requirement.
Yeah.
But if you're telling me I can just walk at the end of the line, my children to the gym, and then a crazy choir teacher will direct them all, thank you.
It wasn't even like, it was like, go, because all of you belong to different organizations, so I don't know where you're actually supposed to go, so like, get out of my classroom. And he wanted to bring in a live tiger. This high school. He didn't actually get it, but there was like rumors, and I don't even think that they were fake. I think like he actually was trying to bring in a live tiger.
That is a principal who has earned enough trust from the district office or a district whose schools elsewhere are in such crisis that they're just kind of allowed to kind of just do whatever
what
they want.
I think that might have been it.
I've taught, and sometimes like it'll change year to year for the same school even, but I've taught under that environment like 3 different times.
Yeah.
And it's like you're playing with house money all year. It's actually crazy.
And so my freshman orientation with Ron, he came out on stage and just led this whole thing. Like the police came out to also do their little spiel, right? And he had this whole thing about, he had a whole slide deck, right, that he was showing. And one, like the major point was, do not go to the gas station. and there's a gas.
No, you don't understand how much that actually dictates the whole life of
Yeah.
many adult individuals
Yes.
in a school system.
It's literally all it was, and it makes sense now. But like, there was like some stuff happening at the, like, you know, if someone went to the gas station,
Right.
like they were in with a weird crowd, you know.
I'm gonna keep interrupting
Yeah.
you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Just hitting on like
I know.
home base.
Yeah.
for me. In one of my grad school programs, we just had to write a paper about pedagogy, which is like your approach to the practice of
Right.
teaching, whatever. And whenever you have to write a pedagogy paper, it's always so like deeply waxing and philosophical. And I wrote plenty of them when I was in my undergrad, but now, you know, almost a decade into teaching, I'm now doing my master's. I want to write about stuff like this. It's like, if Chick-fil-A is 3 minutes further away from school than it is right now, none of the juniors and seniors will be there on time, and then that'll destroy fifth period attendance, which is then going to destroy activities in athletics, and you're going to have a lot of it's like that is as much as
That
like,
is weird. Yeah,
that
that's
is
wild.
that is actually what we need to get right. That is what we need to figure
The
out.
like the little fast food
Yes,
locations.
like-
Yeah, no, that's true. It's absolutely true. And so, you know, the high school that I went to, I don't remember if I've said it on here or not, but there's the gas station, right? There's two. There's one that's really easy to walk to, and then there's one that's a little harder to walk to. Ironically, the one that's a little harder to walk to is the good gas station.
Oh, it is?
But you also had to crawl under a fence to get there easily.
This is your Norman Rockwell childhood. Like,
Yeah.
I had it every day of my life, but you had this like one cute little moment.
This
That's
little
great.
cute little moment, yeah. The only time I ever went to the gas station, maybe I went there a couple times, but it was probably sophomore, junior year, around that time, before a lot of my friends had cars. I found out at that gas station, everything was stupid cheap, and they didn't tax anything. And so I was like, is your business suffering because Ron has told you that the students can't come here?
Is this a fire sale? Are you just trying to like make
But
it
it was
through?
like, so for a while I was like, oh, we can get like cheap snacks, like $5 will get you the world at this gas station. It's closed now. And
Of course it is.
every time I drive past it, I get a little sad because for a while it was just abandoned.
There's a song by Boy Genius
Mm-hmm.
and Phoebe Bridgers about this exact thing, I think.
It's not it's like funny because it was such a big thing freshman year and now it's like not even there.
A picket fence. I can't sing it, but you know what I'm trying to
I know what
reference.
you're trying to reference.
The
I'm not
end
even gonna
is
try.
near.
Yeah.
One solitary tear.
The real sad thing is that the
No live tiger.
the Starbucks. Yeah, no live tiger. The Starbucks that me and my friends would always go to. It was like close enough to walk, get something, walk back
Sure.
if you had like a full free period, like an hour and a half. But if you had a car, that's like where everyone would go. There was
Right.
a McDonald's and a Starbucks, like right across the street from each other. The Starbucks is now a Cricket. That's what really grinds my gears.
I couldn't imagine one. I don't think I've ever really seen an abandoned Starbucks. But
Yeah.
for it to then be like a cheap mobile phone store.
I was like, I didn't think
that's
Starbucks was hurting that bad.
hilarious. Who didn't do their demographic research well enough on like foot traffic and like number of
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's stupid. Anyway, that's my experience with freshman orientation.
Last story then, and then we can get into stories. But
finally.
when I was
We haven't seen each other in
I
way
know.
too long.
like 5 days.
Yeah.
I think I built chairs on
you
Sunday
built chairs,
with
but
you.
we haven't recorded it. The last time we recorded is
Was
the
it
episode
before
that comes out
Texas?
tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When I student taught, it was with, you know, it's so funny because you're still in college, so you just think they're like kind of time wizards. Like in retrospect,
Yeah.
this man might have been anywhere between 15 to 25 years into his teaching career, which even I haven't hit yet, but like he knows what he's doing. And we were in this old building in Lincoln that had just been added to year after year after year. And so we're on like the fourth or second
Much like
or
this house
sixth
that we're
floor.
in right
A little bit,
Yeah.
yes. Like you were just, and there was like this huge kind of like dip cutout, whatever. And then there was the parking lot outside of our window. And it was so high up, you had a really great view. And when I would student teach sometimes, he would just sit by the window and watch as students left. No. It was a huge vote of confidence that he just trusted me enough to run the lesson.
Yeah.
That he could just like kind of sit
Hell
and
yeah.
stare. And then he would like pick up his phone, and it's like a school, so it's like a corded phone. And he'd call the front office, and he'd be like, Jeremy Doe. Yeah, looks like he's about to head out. Looks like he's in this car right now. And I think he has Jane Doe with her. Yep. Okay, sweet, have fun. And he would just like hang up because he taught so many of the kids in the building too. That he would just snipe them. He would just call them out, and then within 60 seconds, you'd see a little golf cart round the building. Right? Is it like
yes?
Listen, only God can stand between an administrator and a little golf cart and wherever it is they're trying to go. I loved it.
I do have a story related to that. I can't remember if I've told you this.
Our
This is a really short one.
detach.
Okay. This is a listener episode. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. There was a time my senior year of high school. It was around the time that everyone was getting asked to prom, so it must have been in the spring because it was definitely in the spring because one of the guys involved got his scholarship revoked.
Well, that happened.
Yeah, but my friend Annabelle was in AP World History, which was like on one of the wings of the building that had windows that overlooked the parking lot, and it was on the second story.
Okay.
And so at some point, the teacher got a call that was like, "Hi, can you send Lachlan down to the office?" And so Lachlan gets sent out to the office, and everyone's like, "What did he do?" And he's also British, so everyone's like making that like joke, like his visa's in trouble again, or something.
What a suburban thing to say.
Yeah. Well, it was like an inside joke, I think, in that friend group, which is I was like,
I would hope so.
Yeah, I was like just outside of that friend group. Annabelle was like in it, but I was not in this class. But I heard the stories of the fact that Lachlan gets sent down to the principal's office, and then shortly afterwards they see the police roll in, and everyone's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And then Lachlan goes over to his car with the police, and they have to watch as Lachlan brings out liquor bottles and like a case of beer from his car, one by one. And at this point, I think it's like spring, right? And so I think the teacher, he was such a homie. He was just like, no one's paying attention to me anymore. The seniors aren't taking the...
I once paused class for 5 minutes so the kids could watch a hawk dissect a squirrel on the front.
Yeah.
There was no way I was going to do anything
Exactly.
else.
At that point, everyone's so interested.
I went to go close the blinds and a child put his body in front of me, and I was like, okay. Well, this is science.
This is the same teacher that showed me the history of the world, by the way, I think. Or maybe
tenured is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Pop off, mama.
So, and then he had a pill bottle in the front seat, and one of our mutual friends, his name was Jack. That's a generic enough name. I'm not worried about it. Just like tenses up. The bell goes, "What's in that bottle?" It turns out it was maybe some Adderall.
Sure, of course.
Wasn't his.
Yeah,
but anyway, the name was scratched off, so that ended up not being a problem, but the liquor definitely was.
Win there.
Yeah. Anyway, hysterical. We didn't have golf carts, though.
The huge thing is, I mean, there's a lot of huge things about it, but you cannot bring that stuff on campus. And your car parked on campus is campus.
Some people weren't smart.
Sure. Well, and that's why they got the scholarship taken away.
You know, and some of us should have grown up with an Asian mom. Just instill that fear in you, you know? Okay, shall we?
I'm going to actually, so I forgot at the very start of all of these. It's this. Okay? You see
sure.
the tagline?
Yeah.
There's 2 in this Word document.
Okay.
So I'll read the first one if you want to read the second one.
Sorry, can you show me the...
It's entitled, yep, 1 second. The title is Silly Little Dating Stories. Ooh. And pause for station identification. So this came in a Word doc.
I spelled Maya's name wrong. I'm so sorry.
Also, it comes as a Word doc, and she goes, "Yes, I'm a Word doc girly. Excel gives me headaches."
That's fair. Okay, I'm doing story 2.
Valued. I am seen. If we can see your name.
Also, oh yeah. It doesn't say in the email.
I always check the very end. Sometimes people attach it as a PS. I don't know this, so we're gonna call him Jane.
Yep.
Okay. Hi, Jane. This is Silly Little Dating Stories 1 and 2.
Also, Jane, everyone misspells my name. I'm no longer upset by it. Unless you like misspell it egregiously, then I'll be like, what? But
so it's okay if I misspelled my name. Me name. Even you misspelled your name before.
Maya. I'm like, ugh,
The tough thing is, any misspelling of your name could also still be your name.
It's
but
true.
if you misspell Grant, it's like, no, there's actually only one combination that those words work in. And so, like, no, like, Chrome will notify you. What I'm saying is, I have a benefit, and you don't.
Here is, I saw the, like, most insane spelling of my name the other day, and I wrote it down.
I think we're, like, 30 minutes into this episode.
Oh, we're farther than that.
I love that, though.
Okay, here it is. In the same day, I saw these two spellings, and I wrote the insane spelling of my name down, and then I saw one of Casey's name, and I was like...
Did it start off with a K?
Hell, yeah.
K-A-C-E-Y?
Nope.
That's how you spell Casey Musgraves.
So Maya, I think I was watching like docuseries or something. Anyway, there was a Maya, and the name was spelled Maija.
My guy.
Okay, my mom has told me that she almost spelled my name Maiah.
Mahayam. Mahayam. I've told you.
Maya.
Listen, if we want to get into name trauma, I think I've shared this story with you before. I don't know if I've told them or not. My name got picked out of a baby book. They're like, oh, starts with a G. That's the family tradition. Boom, done. When Griffin was being born, he was supposed to be a girl. That's what they had thought was the ultrasound. And as they drove past a lake on the way to the hospital,
it's like romantic.
Yes, my mom looks out the window and she turns to my dad, frantically trying to get her to the hospital, and goes, I know it's a girl, but if it is a boy, I just think Griffin would be really nice. And my dad's like, sure, honey, whatever you want.
Let's go to the hospital.
And now I have a younger brother named Griffin. My brother was named after a lake, and I was named like Tuesday after lunch.
Okay, are you ready for this spelling of Casey? K-A-Y S-I-E.
Kasai. He's ready for Japan. He
I
is
was
ready
like,
for
what?
Japan.
What?
How would you pronounce that? Kasai? Kasai?
In Japanese? You wouldn't.
Isn't S-E-I or S-I-E?
No. It would be K-A is a like a kana. S-Y would have to be replaced with...
I promise you we do plan to and want to sell these stories, but we just have too much fun with each other.
S-I? No, it doesn't work.
So before we get into story number one, here's something fun that we started to do last week.
Yeah.
We're going to include your name in the episode description if you give us permission to say it on air. We had a person who
was thrilled by that.
Yes, doesn't check their email,
Very
which
cute.
totally get. Doesn't check their email, so when they were driving to work and they opened up the episode, boom, they saw their name, and that's how they found out.
That's really cute.
And
actually.
I hadn't even let myself dream that was going to happen, but that's obviously what I wanted to happen.
Yeah.
So last week's listener episode, or 3 weeks ago, listeners episode, first time we're doing it, and we're going to keep doing it.
Oh yeah.
So I will be emailing you, and if you give us permission to say your name, I'll include it in the episode description. But for right now, your name's Jane Doe. Okay, so here's the preface. Sorry, I'm just getting ready to be a teacher again.
No.
Using the words like preface. Actually, really, I'm so excited to go back to work. To understand both the stories, it's important to know that they took place about 6 months to a year after the end of my first relationship, which lasted almost 5 years. And we're definitely headed towards marriage. Long story short, there were 2 or 3 major issues that kept coming up and never getting resolved. And eventually, I realized that I could only do so much if I wasn't being met halfway.
Yeah.
So that's how that relationship ended. And then these 2 stories come 6 months to a year after that time ends.
Oh, yeah.
And before I've only skimmed both of these stories. You look for like a couple keywords. And you're like, cool, let's run it. We get a lot of stuff, you know? I have done some truly shameful things in the window after a relationship. So before we even get into the story, I want you to know there is no shame because I worked through that shit, okay?
Yeah, he has.
I think so. I don't think I was in a good way in the spring, but I think I've really worked through it now.
Yeah, I agree.
I disappeared for 2 weeks to the west, and I came back a cowboy.
It's like,
As I'm
where's my cowboy
As
hat?
my legs are crossed and
Yeah.
my little REI
Yeah,
t-shirt,
you're
I'm like,
literally doing like,
Mom, I'm a cowboy. Okay, so story number 1. Almost 6 to 8 months after the breakup, a classmate of mine and I realized there was some chemistry there and decided to see
Ooh.
where it led us.
spicy.
I'm already a huge fan. Like, I'm watching this Nicole
Unfold.
Kidman, Anne
Yeah.
Hathaway,
Oh,
Diane
yeah.
Keaton movie. Like, I am sold.
Mm-hmm.
He asked if we were official right off the bat, but having had some not so great dating success post breakup, I asked if we could hold off on calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend just yet. Fast forward to one night, we're sitting in my dorm room. Sorry. We're sitting in my dorm room about to watch a movie. We've gone on a couple of dates and it's starting to feel comfortable. Love that moment.
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
like,
good moment.
I'm like nervous for her because I
Yep.
don't actually know where this
There's a
axe is gonna
reason the
fall.
story has been written.
But it's so sweet so
It's
far.
really cute.
I think I've started to realize recently the person I end up dating, if that ever happens, needs to tolerate microwavable popcorn. I will not be shamed for eating it, but I also have no
What the hell
direct.
is shaming you?
I
for
mean, I'm
microwave
saying,
popcorn?
but here's the other side of that coin. No interest in sharing it either, which is why I use the word tolerate.
do you offer them their own bowl of?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then that's
Yeah.
on them if
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
shaming
yeah.
you for that. That's
Thank you.
bullshit. Just
Thank
be
you.
like, I'm gonna make this.
If this whole thing with Casey doesn't work out, we should get married.
I've been saying that.
And you know what I've been saying? Listen, bachelorette party or my 40th birthday, whichever one comes first.
I like that.
So
I like
we're-
that.
so
And I have
we're-
this house now.
And I have mine.
Oh, look at that.
That's actually, this is a real marriage
lot
of
of
convenience.
assets, yeah.
Good, good. Okay. Okay, sorry. So they're starting to get comfortable. As this was more of a casual hangout rather than an official date, my roommate, aka my best friend since kindergarten bus, we'll call her Maddie, so cute,
I love that.
is in and out, grabbing things to go take a shower down the hall. This is important to the story. Side note, one thing about college I don't miss are communal showers. Yeah, honey, you're telling me I had to shower where boys shower. It was gross all the time. Although sometimes there was beer. That's a real thing.
I think was that true? I think my sorority house was the only one that had like fully closed doors to.
It was nice because you closed the door and there was a little changing area and then there was a curtain to get into the shower. So there was a level of privacy, but it was like, oh, there's 100 guys using these 8 showers.
Yeah.
Anyway, while she was
Hate that.
out of the room, I paused the opening credits to talk to my classmate. Let's call him David. I told him I've been thinking and that the past few weeks have been really fun and I was ready to make things official if he was. I don't remember his exact response, but it was something along the lines of, "That's great." And then we resumed the movie. 5 minutes later,
Ooh.
with Maddie back in the room post-shower, dressed and brushing her hair, David pauses the movie again to tell me that he's actually started to have feelings for another girl. Not my roommate, someone from another class. And he
What?
thinks we should... I just read the next part. And he thinks we should just remain friends. Then he unpauses the movie again.
That comedic timing is beautiful.
Hey, I just want you to know, I think that's great, but after taking those 5 minutes, I'm actually kind of interested to see where this goes with someone else. You understand?
Because they had to lean forward and press the fucking space bar or some shit.
Their like torsos are pressed towards each
yeah.
because they're in
Yes.
the dorms. That's
What do you continue
amazing.
cuddling after that?
Oh,
or like,
I'm if I was on a rocker at all, I'm off my rocker at that moment. I think I'm letting it pause for a second as I let like the rage build, and then I put it back, and then I let it build up, and then I think at one point I want to be like, okay, no, actually, I know who I was in college. I'm watching the rest of that movie.
I am too. I think we're all
like,
lying to ourselves.
31-year-old me would be like, oh, like that's okay, but I actually then that changes my feelings about tonight.
actually, please get out of my home.
Exactly.
Or like, I'm leaving.
I'm only watching this Adam Sandler movie because I thought we were going to make out afterwards. And now that A's
Adam Sandler is such a
on
niche.
the nose
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah.
And now that B's not happening, I'm not sitting through A, which is an Adam Sandler movie.
And he's not as funny as
you remember.
Yes.
No, absolutely not.
That's an insane thing to have happen.
Story's not even done. I'm actually at the middle point.
Oh my god.
So here I am, heartbroken. Holding
Also,
back.
doing that in the room while your roommate's there? Wait a second. We totally just skipped the most insane part of that.
She's doing that like.
Yeah, like I can't be lit. She like puts in headphones. Like, what do you do in that moment if you're Maddie?
Out of love, I know our friend group is at times maybe too protective of each other, right? Someone broke up.
Oh, I would be like, okay, do you mind leaving?
Right. Someone broke up with. I'm gonna say it. Someone broke up with Danny, and I was like, if I see him again, I'm gonna let him know what I actually thought.
Yeah.
And Danny was like, please don't. We still might make out later. And I was like, fair, and only because I love you, bitch.
Yeah. But you let me know the second that's not a possibility anymore.
I'm ready to.
Yeah.
Listen, I might be mean to you, but I'm the only one that's allowed to be mean to you.
It's a sibling relationship.
100%.
Yes, especially with you and Danny.
Could not imagine. Just.
I need to get through my skincare routine. Just want to go to bed. And you know they have like bunk beds or some shit where it's like, yeah, you like climb up.
Just turn off the lights whenever
when you're
ready.
done. Okay, I'll put noise canceling headphones.
The one thing I don't think Maddie can do is go to the common room at that moment.
Yeah,
She's has
there
to stay there
to pretend it's all cool.
Right, like a nurse, like a witch's curse. She has now been trapped in that room.
Because if you leave, it suddenly becomes worse.
Correct.
For her roommate.
Right, and also it's like, if this is my best friend from kindergarten, I think I literally need to be here right now. But I'm also texting like, hey, if you want me to leave, like you just go ahead and cough twice my direction. Yeah. I'll be gone, you know? Okay, let's continue.
I love this.
So here I am, heartbroken, holding back tears, while Maddie gives me what the fuck eyes across the room while trying to decide if she should stay or leave us in private. We're good friends.
Yeah, we're
and we continue to watch this 1.5 hour long movie that literally just started. Like, opening credits are still rolling.
Why are men like this?
And I know you're asking yourself, girl, why didn't you just kick him out?
Yeah.
Her response, because I was 20, and this is now actually her words, because I was 20 and the dumbest bitch at the ball.
Yes! That's my favorite phrase! I don't know if you got that from me or if that's your own phrase, but we're on the same wavelength. I use that phrase all the time.
I love this next sentence too. I had no worldly experience to say, hey, that's a really crazy thing what you just did.
Yes!
Dumping me in front of my roommate after I opened up my heart to you, and I think you should leave.
Oh my god! Hey, kiddo.
Hey, people are gonna have a lot of reactions to what you just said. Whole different story. We're going to have to flagging this later on in like a bathroom break. I have an update.
Okay, cool.
After the movie, we sit in awkward silence for another 10 minutes before David asks if I want to do anything else. Like, bro, just leave.
How have you not left yet?
I know. Well, because he's like, I don't want to date you, but I also can't have you be mad at me.
Have I told you the story of the ROTC guy that I
have
went
2
on?
sentences left, and then I want to hear all
Have I
about
said this?
I don't
Okay,
think
perfect.
So. I pretend to be tired or say I have homework or some shit, and he finally does leave. But to this day, that's the most insane way I've ever been dumped. Yeah. P.S. I have no clue what movie it was or even any of the plot points because naturally I was not paying attention anymore.
No, I wouldn't be either.
Jane Doe, we get you there. Tell me about this ROTC man.
ROTC man. I went on a date with him. This is one of those situations where like I went on a date with him because I think we matched on some app or something, or maybe I like met him at a party or whatever. And then after the fact, after all of the following happened, and I literally only went on like 2 dates with this guy. Sure. So I wasn't really like telling the world. And I started telling like Kelsey and Alexandra and like all of these people, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, what did you do? And I was like, oh, so everyone knew. And I just didn't know. Anyway.
I went on 2 dates with a man in January, February.
Yeah.
And when Jacob and Lydia, because we're friends and it's cool to play Sims, checked my location at random that night after I had been radio silent for a little bit, and they saw that I was on a Chili's next to the highway, they were immediately like, are you okay? And that's the beauty about having friends. They're like, I sent Grant 2 really funny text messages.
And he hasn't responded.
Right. And I know that this is his responding window. Where is he at? Oh, yikes.
Oh, he's at a Chili's.
Exactly. Splitting a triple dipper, end of things we ordered.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So we went on this first coffee date, and it was like enjoyable. He was really funny and charming, and we had a good like
great bod. He's in ROTC.
Yeah, he was in ROTC. He like had a
put him on the board.
Yeah, he had a decent like social social IQ, like where, because a lot of engineers are like, you say things to them and they say the exact wrong thing somehow, but they think it's the right thing anyway. And it was great. And so he had to go, it was like towards final season, towards winter break. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to see you until after winter break. And he was it that? He had to go for like a trip or something. So by the time I would have left for the trip, he would be back from his like ROTC thing. And so he was like, we have like literally 5 days until I leave, and then we can't see each other for like a month. And so he was like, I really want to see you again. And I was like, yeah, same. And he was like, can I just come over and study for finals with you? And
cute.
Red flag number 1 should have been, and I say this with the most love in my heart because I have a friend who is a PhD in a form of economics. If you are majoring in economics at the School of Mines, chances are you didn't start out as an economics major, if you catch my meaning.
Which is so funny because as a person endorsed to teach economics because I was forced to. I can hear that.
The School of Mines is literally just a STEM school. Like, you can only major in like science and engineering,
and
essentially.
Economics is astrology for money.
And literally there's like an inside joke at Mines, like, oh, he's an econ major. And it's like, we know what that means.
Devastating.
Yeah, it's like the kids that got signed to this school for football but couldn't make the engineering work out.
So he is hot.
Looking back on it. Anyway, so he comes over and he's studying for his quote-unquote finals. I don't know what finals he was studying. Just kidding. Econ was harder for me than I thought it would be.
It's all made up. It's like really hard.
Why
like
are there so
fantasy.
many equations? Engineering economics was actually interesting. Econ, just by itself, I was like, I don't understand why I need a separate calculator for this.
Philosophy also has like so much math in it.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. This guy, basically throughout the course of the night that he was studying, like a bunch of my roommates were around this. We had this like big dining room table. There was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us living in this house, and then he was there, and I think like maybe 3 of the roommates are studying at this dining table, and then he's also there. And over the course of this interaction, I'm realizing that he is interacting with my roommates so weird that I was just like,
oh no.
Oh, you're actually really strange in a way that I didn't pick up on until I saw you interacting with my friends. And this is really weird. And so it's getting really weird. And there's my one male roommate at this time. Me and him like didn't really get along. He was dating a girl that I really didn't get along with. And so we had this like weird mutual relationship where we were like, you're cool, but like we're not really going to talk all the time, you know? But even me and him were like, what the fuck is going on?
What was he doing? Give me an example.
I don't even remember because I blacked it all out because I was like,
it's just every
it was just every social cue was just like completely missed. And like I feel like I would be like, yeah, I need to focus on this because I'm studying for my finals for engineering, by the way.
Not that you still have any like weird hierarchy about it or anything.
No, not at all. And so anyway, I'm trying to give him signals that I want him to leave because I have to go to sleep.
This is why I don't give people my address.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to be like, yeah, anyway, I'm super tired. I should probably take Mo out, which I didn't need to do because we had a backyard at this house, you know, and like saying all these things. And finally he starts packing up to leave. And then like literally push him out the door. And at this point, my roommates are trying to give him cues to leave. And no, he's not picking up on any of them. And we finally get him towards the door. I finally get him towards the door and he like gives me a hug. And he's like, give me a hug like before I leave. And then he's like, and a kiss? Haha, just kidding. And then he looks at me, he's like, unless. And I was like, haha, no.
No.
I was like, no, that's really funny. Anyway, get out of my house. No. Like, I say it jokingly, but in my heart, I was like, leave my threshold of my home immediately. And I have a really close friend at this time, Ian, who I probably had a crush on through a lot of high school, and I didn't really like.
You're like, in retrospect.
Yeah, in retrospect, I was anyway.
Ian really tall?
Tall enough.
Okay.
Like, he wasn't super tall. But I was really close with Ian, so I was texting Ian, and then after he left, I was like, I'm coming to pick you up. And he was like, what?
Yeah, you definitely had a crush on Ian. If your date left and you were like, Ian, I need to see you right now.
Yeah, I was like, Ian, I need to rant about this stupid ass man.
Weird, misplaced emotions that just feel at home when I'm with you. Yeah,
anyway,
definitely platonic
he was also just like, looking back on it, also pretty engineering.
The beautiful part about being a teacher is that you become really good at reading people.
Yeah.
That's the perk of it all.
I called him Jan. Ian's great. And then I'm like freaking out about how this date went from like the first date being so great to the second one being like, get out of my home, get out of my vicinity. And then I get a text from this guy. I just remembered his name in that exact moment. I forgot it until right now. And I
saw something flash across your face and I was like, go on.
No, I'm not going to say his name. But I got a text from him either after I dropped Ian off or as I was driving with Ian. And I was like, what the fuck could this man want? Right. And he sends, I think I forgot something at your house.
No.
And I was like, great, it's mine now. In my heart, I was like, you are never seeing me again. And I was like, that sucks. What was it? ? And he said, my heart.
No. That's, I mean.
And then I don't think I responded.
You ghosted him on that line?
I think I said, oh, haha. And I think he got whatever I said. I don't think, I'm not one to ghost.
You look back at your 19, 20-year-old yourself and you're like, God, what were you doing? You know, like.
This was between my ex and Casey, by the way. I think.
I figured this was the character building lore
I
arc.
needed.
That's, I mean, as a person who has had things left at his house before, like, huge compliment. But also terrible yikes.
Also, actually leave something at my house if that's the card you're gonna play. Don't be like, I left my heart at your house. Goodbye.
I'm gonna give this man one little bit of credit as you pull up your
the next story. Well, it's still from Jane Doe.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is, there is something to be said about just speaking directly over intentions, right? Like, for instance, I'm at the stage now where I don't want a pen pal. I'm actually involved in so many group chats that I actively don't want just another person I have to always be communicating with. And so I value like a face-to-face interaction pretty early on to figure out vibes, right? Like it can be the most public location. It can be, you know, alcohol, substances free, right? Yeah. It can be, let's get 2 coffees and walk around like a neighborhood or a park or something. That. I do too. But it's like, let's just go ahead and meet right away. And so sometimes if we're like chatting for a little bit, if we're kind of getting into like a second or third day and they're like, oh, what's your week look like? I'll be like, oh, like it's busy on Wednesday, but then Thursday and Friday is free, would you be interested in grabbing a drink? And if they're like, no, I'm not interested in that, then like, okay, that's fine. Like we can just, but it's like, if we're both there, like at least interested enough to like meet in public, like let's
do it. Let's just get it over with.
But to be like, I think I left my heart after the second date. I tell my sister I love her twice a year. You're going to do that
also
on a second
after
date?
I like really blatantly ignored your ask for a kiss. What? Okay, story number 2 from Jane Doe. This story takes place the following semester. Maddie and I are now 21, and we start going to the local college bars together. The most popular one in the area hosts a monthly jazz night.
Hell yeah.
Love that. Where the university's jazz band comes and does 2 sets with a break in the middle.
All this is reminding me is that everyone's always happiest in college, not because it's college, but because you are living in a dense, walkable neighborhood with your friends.
And like,
just convince them all to move to the west side of Denver. You can be happy.
Especially a university where it's like art-centric too. Right. That's... I lived in an art district.
Not only is it art-centric, but the artists are accessible and are your age range. And like,
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Okay. Since Maddie is in the music department and knows a couple of the students in the band, we start going to support her friends. The first night we go, I see a cute boy in the band and ask Maddie about him. She's seen him around but doesn't really know much about him, so during the break, as we hang out with her friends, we bring him up. I'm told his name is Tom. Parentheses, real name redacted. So not Tom, but Tom. And he's pretty chill but kind of aloof. Same. No one is sure whether or not he's single. Well, I've had a couple of drinks and a round of free fireball shots that the owner passed out to everyone.
Yeah. It's like Thomas family drink of choice there. If we're at a tailgate with the Thomas family, you're going to need to be able to have your cinnamon whiskey.
Oh, yeah. My ex-boyfriend was the like social chair of his fraternity. And so at the formal that he planned, we got free shots from the restaurant that the like formal dinner was at. And it was just me and him that got those free shots. Never felt more elite.
I love how you're like, we managed to drop $3,000 at the restaurant and they'll give you two $4 shots.
Yeah, free. It wasn't my money. Okay. No one is sure whether or not he's single. Well, I've had a couple of drinks and a round of free fireball shots that the owner passed out to everyone, and I call him over to join our little group. I spend all night flirting. Parentheses, he looks like a young Art Garfunkel, which no one ever told him before.
Or since, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Also, he doesn't know who that is. Right. And I'm a little bothered by that, but whatever. I am too. If he's a jazz person, what? Anyway. And we exchange numbers before Maddie and I leave. That's an
insane thing to say. You're like, oh, you remind me of a young fella from Madeira. And
yeah,
like, who is that?
What?
I'm good at saxophone and needed the credit. I don't know what this is. You know what that man is doing.
This is my elective.
Exactly. Yeah. It was this or wood.
Yeah. Like film, and I've had it with those girls.
Never had it with those girls. Welcome, stay.
Oh, I am one of those girls. I texted you all of my thoughts about the House of Dragon finale.
I was like, just finish this scene, and you were like, okay, but the tension? I was like, but the tension?
Yeah, but the tension, yeah. I was like, it was like the last two shots, and he was like, the last two shots.
The last two shots I get, and everything before them, but also the last two shots.
The last two shots were so good. I had chills.
What are the chances that this is actually the only email we read tonight?
We still got another like 40 minutes.
Okay,
we could easily do.
Okay.
Okay. An hour after we get back to our dorm, I messaged him, quote, "It was so great to meet you. We should get together again sometime." I am killing this. Side note. I've never been great at flirting, but I hit 21 and overnight went from being an Edith to a Mary.
Hell yes. Hell, you are a long time listener. Oh my God.
Alcohol may have helped.
I have not had a chance to rewatch it during the summer. And
he hasn't had a pizza day.
Do I do a pizza day tomorrow?
You have to.
No, look at me. Do I do a pizza day tomorrow?
Yes. Casey and I did a pizza day.
If you text me, please understand it's going to take like 4 to 7 hours for me to respond.
I have forgotten you exist for the last 48 hours.
Yes. I'm doing pizza day. I only had to go to PD
you have to.
I had to go to PD for one day, and then we got the next 3 days off. I'm doing a pizza day tomorrow.
Perfect. Heard it here first. Anyway, we spend all the next day texting, but I can't get a firm read on if he's into me or just being friendly. So I'm at a workshop event later that evening, learning how to assemble our student newspaper, and I'm telling one of my friends all about Tom and how cute he is and how sweet and how I just can't tell if he likes me enough to want to date me. And the little blonde girl at the next table over goes, "Tom? He's in my choir." "Do you know if he's already seeing someone?" I ask. "I'm not sure, but I can ask and get back to you," she tells me.
Yeah.
Homie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I thank her.
Nothing but good vibes sent out into the universe.
So far. I'm not sure, but I can ask and get back to you, she tells me. I thank her and ask her not to make it super awkward, but just like, let me know, you know? So the next day we're back at the newspaper office and I see her and ask if she's talked to him and she tells me he's single. Fantastic. I decide to make my move the following day. I think I asked him if he wanted to grab a drink that weekend or something. I'm not sure, but I remember not getting a clear answer and really being like, what the fuck? Parentheses, side note, we've been texting for the last few days at this point, so I don't see what the problem is.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And then I find out what the problem is. Maddie's friends, who are now my friends too, have been doing some sleuthing. Mm-hmm. Love that. And they find out... Hold my hand.
I'm afraid of what you're going to say.
The little blonde girl is Emma. You know, Tom's girlfriend.
What? 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 I was prepared for you to say homosexual. I think everyone was prepared for you to say homosexual. Sorry, as the book owner would call it, erotica. So she asked his girlfriend if he was single,
and she said, "I'm not sure. I'll ask for you."
And then she
and also
never followed up.
And also said, "Oh, Tom, he's in my choir." Not, "Oh, Tom, he's my boyfriend."
Listen, as a person who's had practice with this, you just kind of go, "Yeah, I have a podcast."
Yes.
Like,
what?
But are they on the rocks? Because sometimes you're finding things about a relationship. I've been in this situation before too, where it's like they're not both claiming to be in a relationship, but they don't know that yet. What happens?
I'm so invested. Okay, the bitch looked me in the eye and told me to go for it.
I can physically feel the spirit of Jane Doe in this room with us right now.
I can feel Emma being like, "I want to see how much
goes.
of a traitor
Ooh,
this bitch Tom is gonna be."
Nice.
Turns out they had this weird on again, off again secret relationship.
Secret tunnels.
Secret tunnels.
Secret tunnels.
Through the mountains.
Secret. My dad saw that pillow.
Tunnel!
When my dad visited, he saw that pillow because obviously it's displayed in my living room, and he's like, I don't get it. I think that's great. I don't get it though. And I was like, okay, Greg.
Anyway, I'm gonna go to bed.
I have reading to do.
Yeah. And it's erotica.
But it's not. It's not.
Okay. Turns out they had this weird on again, off again secret relationship. There was nothing illegal or immoral about it, but because he was 21 and she wasn't yet, they hid their relationship from people. There was literally only like a year separating them. I'm confused about why they hid it from people.
Yeah, I am too. Unless he didn't want to be tied down, or she didn't want to be tied down.
Because also I started dating Casey when he was 20.
It's also, that's actually such a hilarious question too, where it's like, can you find out if he's single? And she's like, I too would love to know that answer.
They just got in a fight like last week.
Exactly. Emma's like, this is a question everyone's asking.
Also, what did she do? Did she just decide the next day she was going to come back and tell her that he was single? Or did she go and ask Tom?
I think whatever she did, she probably did not relay it back. She probably had the conversation, and then later on when Jane Doe was like,
this
hey,
woman,
she'd be like, oh, I haven't had a chance to ask him yet. Like, it wasn't.
This woman thinks so fast on her feet, and I don't know if this situation happened as like rapid fire as we're hearing it, but like if she was just talking about Tom and then this girl goes, oh, Tom, he's in my choir, just like quick thinking. Honestly, like, I aspire to be you a little.
In my choir is actually the craziest thing that's
he's
been
in my
said
choir.
in this email
Put
so
it on
far.
a shirt. He's in my choir. Okay. I just read another sentence that makes no sense in the context of what I know. Okay. There was literally only like a year separating them. And what Maddie's friends found out was that Emma told me he was single because she wanted him to be the one to turn me down. And he didn't want to turn me down to make things awkward, so he was hoping she would do it for him.
So they really are in a relationship.
Yeah. Wow. Meanwhile, this is the sentence I read that I had no context for. I'm the bologna in an idiot sandwich.
And like... No.
What?
No. Hear me out. Because, like, as Brene Brown would say, you were, like, courageous, you were vulnerable, and everything we want that's good in life, that's, like, worth having is on the other side of vulnerability. With that being said, girl, I get that emotion so hard. That, like, somehow my sense of confidence made me a plot point in their relationship.
Casey and I have this cute little thing.
For those of you just on an audio platform, there was a lot of nonverbal communication in that one.
No, it's we've been doing this for years now, where I'll put both my hands on either side of his face, right, and give him a kiss or whatever, and it's cute, and I'll have both my hands on either side of his face, and it's usually like if he's sitting and I'm standing, that's usually the situation that this happens in, and then I'll just like squeeze his cheeks. And we have this thing. It was like an inside joke at first, and now I think it's a chore for him. Because
X.
yeah, because I squeezed his cheeks, and I was like, "Do you know what this reminds me of?" And he was like, "That scene from Hell's Kitchen." And I was like,
Idiot sandwich and it's
yeah. And I was like, "What?" No, I was thinking, I'm a chubby bunny. You know, where you just eat a bunch of marshmallows until you say I'm a chubby bunny. And so I'll squeeze his cheeks now. he just goes, "I'm a chubby bunny."
And I can...
And an idiot sandwich.
And I love Casey, and I know he loves me, and he is such a good man. But I know I am at the limits of, like, frivolity. Like, I'm such a strange, frivolous little man in the ordered world that Casey lives in. And what's so funny is whimsicality is one of his favorite words.
Yeah. You are more whimsical, I think.
I think I'm actually maybe the most whimsical person anyone in our life has ever met. But that's just me.
I think you're whimsical in a way he can relate to. I think, like, Tyler is, like, whimsical in a way that he can never be. You know? Because Tyler will just be like, "Oh, you're going on this grand trip for the next 3 months, and you're leaving tomorrow? Great, I'll pack my bags." You know? Like, that's the kind of whimsical Tyler can be.
Yes.
Can be. I'll make that very clear. In case he's listening, he's not. But... Okay, continuing the story. I'm the bologna and an idiot sandwich.
But I am in the mood for bologna sandwich.
Yeah, me too. I ate so much Subway over the last month, I want you to know. Anyway, because I've been moving and I don't have time to cook.
I'm trying to hear the end of the story, but I could have a Subway index for where you emotionally are, and you ridiculed me like 6 months ago when I tossed that idea out. But it is the like barometer.
No, it's right.
It is the
it's
stick
correct.
in the lake for how deep the lake is of
It's
your
bad.
life.
It got bad enough that one of my like closer work friends was like, "You good?" And I was like, "Thank you for asking." No, I am not.
Listen, my second husband Grant has been asking the same thing.
He's been wondering what my DoorDash has looked like recently. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm the bologna in an idiot sandwich. I was so confused and upset because it was going so well, and who the fuck lies about not being someone's girlfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bullet dodged, though, as they had many more weird dating issues the following semester. It became habit for Maddie, her friends, and I to get together for drinks and to talk shit about Tom and all his drama. Love that.
And in 10 years, when you're affluent and on the coast of Mexico sipping margaritas at your all-inclusive resort,
make sure you're following them on Instagram. Yeah.
You're going to remember how ridiculous we were with that whole time, and you're going to relitigate everything, and it's going to center you
it's beautiful.
in the story of your life.
Yeah,
it's so
100%. I love this. Okay, and yeah, ... That's a story. I'm now a happily married 30-year-old who sometimes remembers these things and has a good laugh about how stupid dating in your 20s is. P.S. My husband and I have agreed that if anything happens to one of us, we are not going back out there. There may be plenty of fish in the sea, but the fish are fucking crazy. I love that. Actually, that should be your tagline.
That's all I actually really want, is to just stand across the room from someone else and be like,
this is it.
It'll break me if I have to go out there again. And it's also, listen, we're about to get into maybe like what should say on the Patreon side of things, but that is actually the part of open relationships or polyamorous relationships that I find most wild.
Yeah.
I am absolutely capable of believing that someone could love multiple people at once, and that love and its expression can look a lot of different ways. What I struggle to really conceptualize is that there's a person in America, late stage capitalism, with the emotional energy and availability to tender two deep, serious relationships at the same time.
No.
I forget to call my mom sometimes. Like, I don't understand how that works.
I can't manage moving the podcast and my job. And I
know you started eating Subway again.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, especially because Casey has been helping me edit the podcast. You know what he stopped doing when the move started? Which I understand was helping me edit the podcast. So now I have the full-time job on top of my almost full-time job on top of my nearly full-time job of moving.
There were times...
So DoorDash it is, babes.
Where I felt like the kid who got brought to his dad's place of work, not because he's helpful, but because there was no nowhere else for him to go that afternoon. Because I was like, haha, I'll really respond to those Instagram messages this week. Because there was like actually so little that I have the ability to take off your plate right now. But I was like, I'll say yes to whatever. I'll build whatever you need. I'm available. I'm here and then I'm not. I'm yes and then I'm no. Whatever you need me, right? I'm a ride or die right now.
Literally, yeah. Anyway, do you want to refill your drink?
Yes, we can do that. Listen, that story was so wonderful.
That story was beautiful.
Oh, one more thing before we pause here for a second. Only because it reminds me. Last time we did a listener episode, 3 weeks ago, we shared the story of the woman who peed herself. While donating
Yes.
And she wrote back to
did.
let us know, and she was like, it was so cathartic to hear you guys talk about it
I'm so
and to share about it. She sent it to her stepson so that way he can hear his like knight in shining
Yes,
armor
he
moment.
was truly an MVP.
And so this is maybe a little bit of an advertisement. If you have a story that's funny and that you're maybe struggling to get over, feel free to email it to us. As Brene Brown would say, shame can only exist in the shadows.
And if Grant has ever made me realize anything, it's that I've been stupid for being sad about something.
Because I'm just like...
One of the big things. Remember when I had Lottie over and I called you and Lydia and I was like, help, I have this woman over and she just went through a breakup and I don't know what to do with her.
And then I showed up. Because I will show up to a call. 100% I will.
Yeah. And then you objectively made things a little bit worse.
I mean,
but that was
I
totally
spoke a little too much truth at the moment.
Because you were living that truth a little bit, I think, at that point.
Girl, when am I not?
Yeah.
What did I say to her exactly?
It was talking about Venmo history.
Oh, that's right.
Because just take your phone. If it's about a breakup, that's right. Make sure I read it.
The worst advice I have ever given anyone ever before is if you want to hurt your own feelings, look up your ex's Venmo history after you broke up and find out who they're all getting lunch with and drinks with and just wildly speculate what spaghetti water drops means.
Like Mason realizing Lee just threw this dirty donuts thing into the post box. It was me looking at Lottie, who had just seen her phone light up and go to Venmo. Unhinged.
But I'll respond to a call.
You will. You're there. You're there. I will say that. Okay, let's go refresh drinks.
Okay, I'm just going to read this one because it's the first one that I have.
Okay.
They give permission for my name and other info to be read. So this story is from Kayla, entitled Teacher Story. Remind me, what was the theme that we did right before this episode?
Oh, down to business.
Okay, that's so interesting. We got like 3 or 4 teacher listener stories the last week or two. Mm-hmm. And I guess I kept kind of being like, oh, I guess the last one was about like education or getting schooled or something. No, I just think we're all starting to emotionally prepare to be back in the classroom.
For teaching.
Yes. Yeah. And we're like, you know who needs to hear like the funniest thing that's ever happened? Grant and Maia.
It's true.
My guy.
My guy.
So this is Kayla's teaching story. Hello, lovely host. My name is Kayla, she, her, and I'm a longtime listener, first-time emailer. I'm a 24-year-old public school preschool intervention specialist. Girl, do the work. That's awesome. I love that.
That is really cool.
Do you know what that is?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It sounds fancy.
I'm like trying to remember that you do not explain parts of engineering to me because I wouldn't have any context for it and it wouldn't be interesting. And I'm trying
unless
to
you want to know more about like...
I don't. And so I'm trying to extend the courtesy and not tell you what an intervention specialist is.
I'm actually interested though. What's an intervention specialist?
Okay, so you...
Wait. Intervention specialist for what?
It looks like kindergartners. Preschool.
Yeah, I need more information on that.
So sometimes you're born with addiction. No, I'm kidding. Could you imagine if it was like an intervention? Like reading intervention and like math. Like you need more specific instruction.
Okay.
Or like maybe like testing
because I was
for
thinking
student
it was
services.
Yeah.
And it was like
confused.
for 3-year-olds.
I was like, that's wild. That's an insane thing.
It is
just
not
said.
the start of John Mulaney. It is, hey, let's go ahead and run an intervention. Do you know who had a lot of interventions ran on him? This guy right here. I think I told you that. I like legitimately could not read until like the 3rd or 4th grade.
I knew that. I didn't
Yeah.
know you had a bunch of interventions.
And now I won't shut up.
Yeah, they did too good.
So she's from Ohio, and then in parentheses she says, which is a Midwestern state, Grant. And we have spent so much time dilly-dallying. I'm not going to dwell on that for a second, but
You're lucky.
okay, all right. Listen, all I'm saying is I don't think y'all saying hot dish out there, and also probably not saying y'all deeply unironically. And I am truly thankful to live in such a great state, despite what people might say about Ohio.
Yeah.
Anyways, I thought I'd tell you a little teacher story that I'm sure my fellow early education teachers can relate to. I'm not sure if you would need this story for a specific theme, but use it in case if you think it fits.
I love that.
I also kind of love that you guys are like, don't know if it fits into the next theme. Like we are caring about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Listen, in the last like 3 papers I wrote for my education class for grad school, I used the word gatekeeper of knowledge like so many times because it sounds so fancy, you know?
It really does.
I mean, that's
it sounds like I shouldn't be talking to you right now.
Do you know what's crazy? I'm 31. I'm about to start my 10th year teaching and have a master's degree. I just feel like I'm speed running this, you know?
Okay.
I think my second life's gonna be as a Mamma Mia.
How does it feel to know that Casey has a master's degree and he is 25?
Well, so does Danny. So like, it's so easy. Boys can do it. It's so easy.
Boys can do it. Except Casey's is in like robotics and engineering.
Sure, and mine's going to be like advanced discussion 405, opinions and your responses. Right, that's like what my master's and my undergraduate.
All right, Mr. Econ major.
It's a subgenre I'm endorsed to teach in up to the 2nd level. Anyways,
ROTC level.
Back to Kayla's teacher story. Preface, it's okay to laugh at the story. It does not end badly, but I don't want to give anything away up front. We love that. Thank you. I think before we get into this, from my own experience, something that I've said in teacher interviews before is I'm really grateful throughout my teaching career. I've had the chance to work with students at every level, from kindergarten through 12th grade, at various parts of their education journey. And I really do feel like as a professional, I've taken something deeply meaningful away from each of those experiences. You hate me so much right now.
Boo!
Your eyes. But no, what was me trying to say? I worked at before and after school.
No, you're phenomenal at getting interviewed, I'm sure.
I really am.
Just like me.
No, I worked at before and after school programs for elementary kids. I think I told you that.
Yeah, you have.
I'm gonna talk about that a lot now in this story.
Okay.
Okay, so this story takes place during my student teaching year in a 2nd grade classroom. I can't keep stopping after every sentence, but here I go. Okay, so my senior year of college, I'm living in my hometown, Lincoln, and the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. And I had lived in the dorms, and then I had lived in my own apartments. But student teaching, you don't get paid for. You pay them.
Oh, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, like a legitimately 9 credit hours worth of tuition to work full time for a public, like full time. And
that's
so I
like Lydia working at the bakery.
No, she gets paid for that.
Well, no, the first one, the interview.
Yes. It's actually exactly like
that.
Yeah. And so I'm moving back with my parents because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to work a full-time job and do this. I don't want to. And then I'm going to move out of state once this is done. I don't want to blow through all my savings. And my parents are like, sure, welcome, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But I'm also in student government at the time. So I'm not even joking. And this is me. This is unapologetically who I am, this little nutshell right here.
Yeah.
I would come home from work. I'd gather with my parents in the kitchen. We'd have chips and dip, which is like our basically only dinner a couple nights a week. Yeah. You know, I'd go hang out with friends, or we'd watch TV, or I'd work on schoolwork, or I'd grade, or I'd plan, or whatever. And then in the evening, if I didn't have any meetings or anything, because see, I sat on the committee for fee allocations, which was really important.
Yep.
And there was a lot of reading to do.
That, yeah.
Okay, so I would just sit in the hot tub and flip the lid over and read bylaw suggestions and sip a tumbler of whiskey, and then I'd go inside and shower and go to sleep, and then I'd go teach at my student teaching experience.
That's insane.
But it's exactly who I am.
Yeah.
Maya's kind of sick of me right now.
Cool. I did fee allocation and I was in engineering.
I was gonna say, what was your student teaching experience like?
So
it's in a 2nd grade classroom, and I'm like, just say a word so I can cut you off.
No.
I don't remember how far in I was, but I know at this point I had fully taken over all of the teaching. We were in the middle of a lesson when all of a sudden the lights flickered. The students, surprisingly, didn't seem to notice, but my mentor teacher and I did. We gave each other a strange look and then went back to what we were doing. I had forgotten about it within minutes because the lights flickering in a rural school district wasn't something to be suspicious of. Maybe 20 to 25 minutes or so later, I went up to the office to check the mailbox and make a few copies. I noticed the principal, a student, a person I assumed was the student's parent, and one of the other second grade teachers, we'll call her Lisa, all gathered in between the two front doors of the building. They were talking to the student, and I assumed that he must have gotten in trouble. Yeah. I came back to the classroom, and I obviously had to spill the tea with my mentor teacher that one of Lisa's students must have gotten in so much trouble that his parents had to come pick him up. And that's so true. Listen, anytime you were in school and you saw a teacher from a different classroom come to your teacher's door, and then they whispered at the door for a second, it is as piping hot as you think it is. I want you, honestly, almost always more scandalous than what you think you know. It's so good.
Oh, man. I'm jealous. I want to be involved.
You go, no, but see, then, like, her mom came. Maya, I do believe Mr. Johnson gave you an assignment. I don't want you to have to do it in my class. But she was drunk. And so
I'm obsessed! And I can scream now because these microphones can pick it up.
It's so good. It's such a girl moment. But it's also so utilitarian because it's like, this is the end of my plan period, and I'm not going to see you for another 9 hours if I don't say this to you. Yeah.
And you're swinging your keys around as a form of like noise distraction.
Cling. There's a whole clipboard up between you.
Yes.
Yeah. And those are...
And you put the clipboard. They
are actually soundproof. So I don't know how, but the clipboards are soundproof. You cannot hear past them, and it's... I love my job. I'm so excited to get back to it. We talked about it for a minute and forgot about the whole thing. Later at lunch, Lisa sat down and said, "You're never going to believe what happened this morning." She proceeded to tell us that one of her students, whose desk was next to an outlet on the wall, got bored during class and decided to stick a paper clip into the outlet. When he couldn't pull
the intrusive thoughts won.
And he couldn't. And I know the feedback the teacher's going to get from her boss, which is going to be like, Lisa, what were you doing to make the student active as a listener in their own learning? Was the lesson engaging enough for them to not electrocute themselves? Teachers, you know it's true. And I'm sorry if what I just said was traumatizing on your way to work.
Oh my God.
He had the great idea. So after the paperclip wouldn't come out, he had the great idea to use scissors to grab onto the paperclip and pull it. He then got shocked and flew across the classroom in a puff of smoke. Lisa then had to have a student run down to the office while she stayed back to see what happened. And that's so true. You're like, I need to be here, but I have no idea what's about to happen.
Oh my God.
Let's see what happened. The ambulance was called, the student was fined, and he missed the next day of school. The custodian spent the night making sure every outlet had a cover on it so this didn't happen again. The fireman said the only reason the student ended up being okay is because of the plastic coating on the handle of the scissors. So, the next time the lights flash in your building, it might not just be faulty wiring, but a student shoving metal items into an outlet. I have so many more other teaching stories, as I'm sure Grant does as well, but this one's never ceases to blow my mind anytime I think about it. Sending positive vibes to Grant for the next school year and to Maya for her upcoming wedding.
Aww.
Love you guys and the podcast, and I wish you all the best.
That's so cute.
I've had that happen to me before. I've told you that, right?
That someone electrocuted themselves in the class?
Yeah, and that someone was me.
That's you, okay.
It was in the early days when I still thought there was nothing bad with being the cool teacher. So I let students charge their phone in class as long as they weren't on it, which usually meant like a backpack against the wall and then their phone in the backpack and then like a cord leading into it.
Oh my God.
I know. I used to be really nice.
What?
And then I got electrocuted. And so I'm going over to work with a student who is like charging his phone in the outlet.
Yeah.
And I do that like teacher squat thing to like get down on their level. Mm-hmm. But I'm aware that sometimes that results in your like ass being in another kid's face.
Yes.
So I just like kind of like
always.
widen my stance a little, and then I just kind of like drop it low, like
Right.
I'm in a rap video or something. And in that way, like my ass is firmly as close to the ground as
Yes.
possible without me sitting.
Yeah.
And I can still talk to the kid face to face. But the problem with that is you actually then kind of need like a wide clearance. And my buttocks had wiped out an iPhone charger plugged into the wall, but had only managed to take out the plastic casing. It was still plugged in, just now sans plastic casing. And so a couple things happen. I'm like, okay, well, now that my ass has destroyed this iPhone charger, I have to get this kid a new iPhone charger. And like, kind of by tomorrow. Like, I do understand it's like a needed thing. And two, the next class that comes in is full of freshmen who will electrocute themselves if I let this stay in the outlet. Like, I don't have time to call like facilities or something. Like the day continues. And so I like kind of go for a second and I touch it and I get like a little shock. And I'm like, okay, well that actually, it didn't actually move at all. And you're like maybe thinking like, Grant, like pull the wire, but it was like, it's like kind of frayed. And I'm afraid that if I pull the wire, then like the wire will just come off of it, right? Like I kind of like take this thing out. So I just go, and I pull it out of the socket. Yeah. And then had to go to Target that day and get that kid like another like $30 charger or whatever.
Are you okay?
No, I think there's like I think there's hours of video that shows I'm not. Like emotionally, physically, of course I am, but I mean that is what had happened.
Monet, you cannot sit in Gunkle Grant's lap.
She's so cute. How absolutely needy she is.
She was like, no, Mom, I don't want to sit in your lap. I sat in your lap. I want to sit in Grant's lap.
I think you have the next story,
Okay,
don't you?
I do. All right. Okay. You have my consent to use my name, and her name is Mimi. Okay.
Make sure you leave it as unread so I can respond to it tonight.
Yes. Okay. Hi, Maya and Grant. My name is Mimi, and I'm in Aurora, New York. For
Ooh.
now. We have an Aurora in Colorado.
Yeah, we do.
I was born
Don't stop
there.
at the Aurora in Nebraska. Like for gas, sure, but like don't live there.
Okay. I'm looking at apartments in Rochester, and one realtor contact stuck out to me. Dustin and Tickle?
Okay, this is the one.
Question mark? Realty. I couldn't help but think, get it? Justin and Dustin! Oh my god, I'm gonna screenshot this and send this to Lee. Okay. Anywho, I work a couple days a week in Rochester, and it's about a 1.5 hour drive from Aurora to Cayuga Lake.
Okay.
Cayuga. Okay, Cayuga Lake. Not exactly a whole episode one way, but I can finish one and start another. I've belted out a hearty "ha" countless times in response to a witty aside, either from y'all saying, i.e., it's not Leviosa, it's you're a magician. Grant, episode 19, 2 hours and 2 minutes in.
That's exactly
Thank you for the timestamp because we would not have figured that out.
I think I want to listen to some of the early episodes again.
We need to, I think, just to
we're
get...
different people in that story. I'm freshly 30.
Yeah, I haven't moved yet, so I'm very naive. Okay, I started listening around episode 40, caught up with all the episodes after that were out at the time, and then went back and started episode 1. Your content is incredibly interesting. The commentary is chef's kiss. On point. Thank you. I'll tell that story in a second. Hold on. Okay, a chef's kiss on point. So relatable and hilarious. Needless to say, I think we're friends in real life. Hope we can at least meet one day.
Absolutely.
Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for your hard work. It truly shows. Be sure to find time to relax too, of course. Take care, Maddie.
That was the falsely imprisoned episode, right? Where it was like literally Lee's 2-part episode and Britney Spears.
I think so.
What an intense theme.
And that was the one that I consulted my lawyer friend about.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. Okay. The chef's kiss thing.
Pinch.
Yeah, because otherwise, if I don't say this, I'm going to have to edit out all the pinch references, and it's not going to make any sense. I texted Grant. I almost put this in my like little notes app thing for like an update on the episode, and I was like, this is just funny. I don't know. And so you know that like Italian like
emoji. It's an emoji.
It's an emoji, and it's the little
if
hand
it's good
thing.
pasta.
It's good pasta.
It's all 4 fingers and your thumb pointed upwards, and it's kind of like in a claw.
Yeah.
If you were to turn it upside down, that's how you get a pickle out of the jar.
Yeah, but up, it's Italian.
Right.
And I texted Grant. I don't remember. I think I was texting about the House of Dragon finale. I was like, the cinematography is just, and I wanted to do that emoji, and I was trying to search bar it because if you have an iPhone, you can like search via text, like you can search smiley face, and it'll show all your smiley faces. I could not figure out the correct
you keep punching
search.
in essentially like Italian slurs. You're like Italian hand, Italian sassy hand, chef's kiss hand.
None of them work, and so I texted Grant. I was like, try to find that using the search bar without being an ass.
And Mama, like within 12 seconds, I have sent her a screenshot, and I just say, pinch.
It's a pinch. I was like, it needs to show up for chef's kiss. It has to show up for chef's kiss.
I laughed so hard because like knowing you, I was like, she is in a really funny way so pissed at me right now.
So mad. I was like, this is supposed to be funny, and you made me look like the asshole.
But here's the thing, no, because I'm an asshole because I use that so regularly that I know the key word is pinch.
Which is
like I know that's what I gotta.
It's
type
just
in.
so dumb.
Hand's gonna get you 18 hands before you get to them.
Hands.
It's like the last hand. It's the first pinch.
Yeah, I said also try and get that hand emoji I just used by using the search bar. Impossible. And literally a minute later is a screenshot that just says pinch.
I know what I'm doing.
Anyway, so that's why I keep saying pinch.
And that's why I also, whenever she's frustrated, I go, pinch. You have X with Casey. For me, it's just pinch. Which is like, let's not acknowledge this frustration. But instead, let's have a shorthand.
Yeah, pinch.
So it's out there.
Yeah, perfect. Anyway, next story.
Next story. Okay. I had a student who used to do that. He would go, Mister, okay.
Okay.
Let's get
Wait, I
so
love that.
like,
That's
low
really
with
funny.
it. And then I don't know if I should say this out loud. I'll say part of it out loud. Whenever we would go to tournaments, he would write his Snapchat handle on every whiteboard in every room he competed in. And I was like, you gotta stop doing that. And not just because it's going to be traced immediately back to you, but because like it's going to piss off all these teachers. And the starting word of his Snapchat handle was pudding.
I hate that.
It was a hilarious skit.
Monet, what do you have to say to the people?
This is not what I wanted.
Okay, you pick a very convenient time to be silent. What, are you a little camel shy? What are you doing? Say hello. Well, you're lame. Okay, goodbye.
Okay, so this one is titled Listener Story Kindergarten Teacher Edition.
Oh.
And at the very start it says, please do not use my name.
Okay. Excellent.
It's a good one. I think it's all okay, but it is going to be a wild one. We already used Jane in this episode. Oh, what her name was actually what? It was...
Oh, we found out right after we went on break that she did say that we could use her name.
And her name is Stacy.
Stacy.
It'll be in the episode description. Jane. So if we can't use Jane, what do we want to call her? Okay, cut that part. It's not the name, but you were like
really
2
close.
words
Okay.
away from it.
Diane.
I love it. Ooh, Diane, that's a great name. Good
Excellent.
job, Maya.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm trying to help you out. Okay, so please don't use my name. I think you'll figure out why once you read the story. She, her pronouns. I'm currently a fellow Denverite. Yes,
Yay!
Diana. But this story takes place when I was teaching in another state. So is this on theme? Sure. But for which theme? I have no idea.
Same.
Diane, you get it.
This is real.
Just wanted to share anyway because I felt like you would appreciate it. Around 10 years ago, I was teaching kindergarten in a Title I charter school down south. Okay, 10 seconds. Title I means that a certain percentage of their students and their families qualify for free and reduced lunch, which means they live at or below the poverty line. To be classified as a Title I school, I think it's something like between 60 and 70% of your student body needs to qualify for that.
Right.
Charter schools are usually public tuition-free schools, but that are not ran by their districts. and have their own kind of like wild policies about things.
Okay.
Charter schools vary by state. Look yours up if you're curious.
Right.
That's my job, trying to, what all those teaching terms meant. Okay, so this was an inner city school where he had ended up having to create a strict uniform policy all the way down to pre-K because we were having issues with gang colors symbols being worn at school. One of my colleagues got robbed at gunpoint walking across the street to the grocery store at lunch. It was a vibe nonetheless.
Oh!
I absolutely loved my job, but it was also rough at times.
Yeah.
I had 28 kindergartners and no classroom support. As Grant can likely attest, 28 to 1 is not a fantastic ratio for teaching, but especially for kindergartners. Like, they move so often, and they're so tired, but then they're so full of energy.
They're harder to predict, too, the younger they are.
Yes. Yeah. And to try to monitor all of their progress and stuff. Yeah. Like, obviously, I believe in, like, small class sizes, but those young kids, especially those young bodies. Mm-hmm. Anyways, especially when the majority of the students can't tie their own shoes. And then parentheses, why are the laces wet, girl? Yes. When it's dry as a desert outside and the kid's like, can you tie my shoes? And they just came back from the bathroom and their shoelaces are soaking wet. And I know that's the only way they're going to learn is if they have to have shoes that have laces on them. But I'm like, Velcro them all.
Yeah, no.
And around a quarter of the class was not native English speakers. The kids were so sweet. And I absolutely adored every single one of them. But like, it's a tough teaching situation.
Yeah.
In a situation where funding was extremely limited, I had to get extra creative with how to keep the kids engaged. I wrote a study during my grad program. I love that. That's such a cute sentence to say. Like, I'm not trying to be patronizing, but like in the sanitary environment of like a grad school classroom, it's like the whole world's possible with a 1,500 word essay on pedagogy.
Grant's on one with pedagogy today.
I just had to write so much for it. And I was at the airport on my way down to Texas the one time I have to take a connector flight anywhere. And I was like, I have the ability to type out 2,000 words right now. It's all nonsense. Anyways, okay. So I had to get extra creative. There's a study in my grad school program about how rearranging classroom furniture fairly regularly helped to prevent the learning environment from becoming stagnant. Was this a legit study? Who knows? But I was desperate and figured it was worth a try. It ended up being totally effective, and the kids loved coming into a crazy and weird, a.k.a. new classroom configuration.
Whoa!
When you get to the high school, though, and you change it, it's like essentially you went into their own bedroom and rearranged where they like sleep at night.
Like, wait a minute!
Exactly. Especially if you are their emotional support classroom.
Yeah.
The one place that is not supposed to change, and you mean I now have to sit at a 45-degree angle at a different direction? I don't even want to eat lunch in here anymore.
Oh my God.
At this particular school, as in common in a lot of charter schools, parents are required to commit to completing a certain number of like bond volunteer hours. I don't want to say that that's common. I've never taught at a school like that
bond
before. Like, you're required to volunteer at the school.
Is that what the bond part of that
means? I think
means?
that's what it is, yeah. In the state where I was teaching, public schools receive significantly less funding than standard public schools. Parent volunteers help to fill in the gaps. They could do all sorts of things, like helping organize events, coaching sports, or doing random tasks for the kids' teachers, such as cutting lamination, or in my case, coming in to help rearrange the furniture. Every quarter, I would send out a request for parents to come in the morning to help me move furniture, with the promise of signing off on double bond hours for their time, because it was so early and inconvenient. Listen, the secret to most of my events that I've organized is being willing to like fraudulate so many community service hours. And the worse the job, the more hours per hour I will give you for it.
No, that's... I feel like that's fair.
Yeah. I once told a group of rising seniors that if they waited the last 2 hours, not only would they get 2 more hours, but they'd get a special treat. And so they did. And I was like, cool, you guys can have one item from the concession stand each. And they were like, that was the special surprise. And I was like, that's like a $15 value collectively. And they're like, we feel lied to.
I loved their ability to like be honest with you in that way, though.
I only ever had one person come and help me, a father of one of my students. Dad was absolutely jacked, hot again.
That's the first thing I need to program into this sound pad.
That.
Hot again.
Honestly, what you need to
I think that was Casey's idea, actually.
You need to get Liddy to say it, because she'll say it sometimes in conversations.
Does she really?
She'll say it knowing she's saying something funny, and it warms my heart. Anyways, Jack Dad.
Bum, ba-dum, bum.
So he's tatted from...
This sounds like a romance novel.
Yeah, it's like a romance novel I read in Glacier National Park, basically.
Sounds like a romance novel that I'm reading right now.
Tatted from his ankles all the way to the top of his head, including his face.
You know, he's a little dangerous.
And honestly, kind of scary looking. Okay, but there's
Hot
that.
again.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. He was also super respectful to the entire school staff, and he was one of those parents who always showed up. Like, you could consistently rely on him.
Oh, that's nice.
When I posted my little wish list outside the classroom saying we were already short on crayons, copy paper, and Kleenexes in December, he would bring me some the next day. He was super invested in his students, in his son's learning, and kept on top of everything constantly. He referred to me as ma'am, even though I was easily 10 to 15 years younger than him. When he was my only volunteer to help move furniture every quarter at 5:30 a.m. on a Monday morning, I felt fine about turning off the building alarm and being fully alone in the building with him while we were rearranging the classroom together. He never made me feel unsafe, and there was never an issue. At the end of the school year, I ended up moving to Denver. Not long after my move, I got a text from a former colleague who had taught the student's older brother, telling me to check my email immediately because she sent me something I needed to see. It turns out that the FBI and local and state law enforcement had conducted a joint gang bust and arrested dozens of people. This dad was at the top of the report. As a local...
This is a romance novel that I've read.
Oh my God, how?
It's the mafia lord, man. It's a common trope.
For her, she's like, please do not share my name. And she says so many nice things about this man. And you're like, hot, hell yeah.
Hot again. I haven't had time to get into a new set of series, so I've just been reading shitty ass like romance novels. This is a very common trope. I'm into it.
Leader of a massive multinational gang. We love diversity. Go ahead, enjoy your roses for this next sentence. Oh, no. He was arrested and charged with a ton of things, including murder. Murder.
Muck duck.
If they're with us still this late into the episode, we can say that. Narcotics, money laundering, racketeering, and more.
But was he doing it to protect someone he loved?
I don't... Her?
Yeah. Maybe. That's why he's there at 5:30 in the morning.
I'm not here to condone
crime. In
like the
also, real world,
no. I was only halfway done with that sentence.
Okay, cool.
I'm not here to condone crime. But I do think more people should be involved in their kids' education.
He was a helpful parent.
Read to your kids at night. Take their phones away at 8.
Cared.
Have them outside so their eyesight develops properly. Like, you're feeding them vegetables. That's like 1/8 of the... Anyways, I am a professional. I have a master's degree. That's really what we need. Hats for next Pride just say hot again.
Again.
Or just a tank top that just says hot again under each pit. I didn't tell anyone about this for a long time because I knew people who cared about me would absolutely berate me for being so stupid to put myself in danger
you?
By being alone
Girl, you're
with this
not
person.
The victim. I mean, you are the victim technically, but you're not the perpetrator. Like, why would they berate you? That's bullshit. Tell them to shut up.
I can't fully explain it, but I always knew I was never in any kind of danger.
Hot
I was
again.
I was like, you go get him, so that way all the other listeners know where we actually stand. But I was like, she gets it. She gets it.
Yeah, what? Like, not cool that he maybe committed a muck duck.
Right.
But we don't know the situation of that muck duck.
Yeah.
And I'm not condoning any muck ducking.
I took really, really good care of that kid. I loved that kid, and his dad saw that. It very much felt like, you take care of my kid, so I'm going to help take care of you situation. I guess I was... Is her words now? I guess I was... ... part of the family? LOL.
Hey! Yeah, you were.
So this is a mafia romance.
It is. It really.
I'm
like
situation.
I need to know more, just because I've been so invested in these like
and I'm just at the start of my journey for all of this.
Okay, I'm like at the like rock bottom. I think I need to get back into like an established series.
I'm gonna actually just say this so we can talk about this for a second.
Yeah.
The last little bit is just a note for us.
Yes.
Anyways, I didn't get murdered, and now I live in the Denver suburbs, and I'm loving your podcast and living a crime-free life. Talk to me. Thought you'd enjoy that too. Never clear. Gotta clarify.
Oh my gosh.
Don't say anything.
Okay. So you wanted me to read a name one,
Mm-hmm.
but there is one that you sent me, horsing around.
That one's super short. You can read
I'll
either.
read that
if you
one
want. Okay.
first, and then I'll do the name one.
Okay.
Because just because we need a horse.
4 horsing around.
We need a horse.
That is the theme, I guess,
Yeah.
isn't it?
What is it called? Horsing around, cute story. Okay. Okay, she does not give us permission to use her name. So give me a name.
Female or male?
Female, I think.
Maya.
No.
Okay, name that hasn't been included in one of the episodes already. Monica.
Monica. Okay. This is from our friend Monica, not her real name. She didn't give us permission to use her real name, but the title is Horsing Around, Cute Story. Hey y'all, listener from the beginning here. Love to hear it. I have a cute story.
Grateful to hear it.
Truly. You are the reason that we have a studio right now, for the most part, yeah. I mean, the house Casey and I bought, but the studio you guys funded. I don't know why I'm still talking.
I was like,
to shut up.
I was like, can the podcast bankroll a house? Like, let's talk about that.
No.
I want a condo in the city, babes.
The podcast can bankroll the equipment and soon some ads.
I'm sorry. I know we are literally one word into the story, but I have something to say.
Not even. We read the title. We read the subject line.
I once had a coworker who said, "Oh yeah, no, me and my friends are gonna go downtown later tonight." And I was like, "Don't you live in Littleton?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're just gonna crash at my jam place though." And I was like, "What?" And he goes,
What?
I have an apartment where like me and my band, we just like kind of like play music and stuff, right? So it's not at the house and stuff."
Okay.
And I remember at the time being like, "Let's not critically think this. Like, let's just say
have a
yes."
house?
And I think so has a home
Yeah.
with a wife. And then just an apartment in the city.
Oh, that's...
And then on the way home, I was like, that's an affair loft. Like, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, live your life, maybe be communicative with your partner. I'm not here to cast like
And
moral
that's
judgment or anything.
fine as long as
I read
everyone
things to you
knows.
during our break that I think would shock my parents to hear me say out loud.
Yeah.
You know, like I am not here to
Yeah.
cast any moral judgment, but also at the same time, that's an
Whoa.
affair studio.
That's an affair studio. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, from our friend Monica. Okay, I have a cute story from my family that, in my mind, would relate to horsing around. So, both my mom and sister are now officially horse girls. Hell yeah, brother. I mean, I'm also worried for you as the only non-horse girl in that situation. That seems tough. So let us know how you're doing. My mom has been a horse girl for some time. She's always dreamed of having one as a kid. So when she was living on her own, she had the resources. She got herself a horse. (Parentheses. She always has been and always will be a boss-ass bitch, but that's besides the point. The horse's name was Lovely, and she was a beautiful Arabian. My mom got Lovely from this actress also living in LA who is looking to sell her. She really was my mom's first kid, to the point that my parents took their engagement photos with Lovestruck. I'm assuming Lovestruck is the full name and Lovely's the nickname or the barn name. LOL. Though we all grew up around her, we never really participated in riding or anything, especially with an Arabian. Arabians can be kind of hot, meaning crazy.
Again.
Again. Arabians are like really prancy. You know, there's like Arabians, I think this is true. This is like not old knowledge for me. They have one less, what's the bones in your spine called?
Girl, I don't know. Vertebrae?
They have one less vertebrae than normal horses, so their tail more naturally will stick up when they run. So if you ever see like a picture of a horse with their tail like hella up, it's more often than non-Arabian. They also have like kind of concave noses. Anyway.
I love how, I'm not joking about this, I love how much you know about horses.
Thank you.
Because you're just so casual about it, and I'm like, all of this is new information for me.
I sent Mason thought he saw thought he knew what an Arabian
horse.
Exactly. And I was like, that's not an Arabian. And then we just happened happened to see an actual Arabian like 5 seconds later, and I was like, that's an Arabian. And then like a week later, I saw a video of someone riding an Arabian like from a GoPro, and he was like, that looks so smooth. I would love to ride that. And I was like, no, like, that's the rider. That's not the horse. Anyway, okay. Though we all grew up around her, we never really participated in riding or anything. After 20 awesome years with Lovely, she passed away in 2012. Cut to the panorama, her words, of 2020.
We love a Panera Panini.
A Panera Panini, a parallelogram, if you will. And we were all living at home again. My sister and mom decided that it was time to get another horse.
That's a pandemic thought, too.
That really is. As someone who's owned horses and decided that I never want to own a horse, probably again. Yeah. And here begins my sister's obsession with horses. Obsession, all in caps. She began researching absolutely fucking everything about horses. She even decided to start researching Lovely just because. My sister, through absurd means, was able to not only find Lovely's birth records and stats through the Arabian database or whatever, but found a photo shoot of Lovely as a filly with the original actress owner. Because of my sister's panorama horse girl obsession, my mom was able to learn more about her precious Lovely and to see her as a filly, which is so cute.
It is adorable.
My the last horse I had before I like had to sell him, Charlie, I had all of his papers, right? And a horse has to be like a specific breed to have these kinds of papers, but Charlie's papers had a picture of him as a colt, and it was just like so cute to see.
See, here's the thing. I knew this was the right story for Maya to read because, like, well, I think horses are cute and like they're great. I was like, there's just like some fan mail for.
You just like just seeing a baby horse. It's
Have
like
you been obsessed? You never seen all the horses riding at the Versailles?
Yes, at Versailles. It's so. New York Times had some audacity today. Let me tell you. Maybe it was yesterday.
They've been audacious for like 2 years. I'm kind of over it.
They really have. There was, if you're not caught up on all the horse drama in the Olympics, let me.
So you can hear
catch
it
you up
when you say it. You can hear it.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. There was a one of the Olympians from the British horseback riding team. I'm not sure which sport, if it was eventing or dressage. There was a video that was leaked of her abusing a horse a couple weeks before the Olympics started. And so now, as of like, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago that we're recording this, and today is the 6th.
Tuesday the 6th. Yeah, that sounds right.
The New York Times was like, a video of this Olympian has raised concerns about whether or not horses should be involved in the Olympics. And the comments are like 60 to 70% of people being like, horses shouldn't be involved in this. This is horses involved in sports without their consent is bullshit. And then the other like 25, 30% are like, thanks, New York Times, for posting this thing so that all of these uneducated people can say that horses shouldn't be involved. Anyway, fucking insane. Back to where we were with Lovely.
I feel like we're at the start of what you were just talking about, though.
Oh, no, I mean, like, that's it.
Okay.
If you want me to go on a rant about horseback riding, I will, but we'll be
want
here
you
for
to
another
know
hour.
You have the ability to if you want.
And join Patreon if you want that. I'm sure we'll
That's
find
good.
time
I can
for that.
leave. I can do the book
Yeah.
story next time.
Yeah.
And you can do it. We'll get some red string. How funny would it be if the next time, and it's just 2 pictures of us with a red string in between, end of gallery wall.
Wait, that would be so I don't have the dedication right now.
I'm a creative person. No one ever knows that.
Every episode just have a
Another
different
picture.
thing. We could do Easter eggs like Taylor Swift. Okay, anyway.
Starts to reveal like what the next episode's going to be.
TLDR about horseback
We
riding.
gotta stop saying these things because then people like the idea,
and
then we're all like, "Oh, were we just we were a little."
We also
buzzed
don't
and...
have time. I don't. Once
That's
we're
so
moved
true.
in and I can quit my job, I'll have all the time in the world to do this.
There was this moment where Maya and I were talking about like splitting up work
Yeah.
duties for the next year, or for like this next season, and I was like, "Well, you know, when school starts, like I can probably do another hour a week," and I heard like a. And I was like, I am sorry, like 90 minutes? Is that like, you know, like I'm here
2 hours to compromise. Because my initial proposal was 10 hours.
I know.
Kidding.
Well, I mean, I want to row the ship together, and also at the same time, I'm like, this is probably not an interesting conversation.
No, it's okay. I do remind me I have something to tell you about the workload. It's not serious. It's actually really funny, and it has nothing to do with you or I.
Are we getting a divorce? All the kids want to know.
We have to put together a piece of furniture.
I hope there's someone idling in a parking lot right now, waiting for the end of this specific conversation.
Okay.
No, not the story. I mean, like us.
Yeah. No, we're not getting divorced, kids.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Presses unpause.
Okay. My sister's panorama horse girl obsession. My mom was able to learn more about her precious, lovely, and see her as a filly. Anyways, I also thought this was a cutie story and thought y'all, especially Maya, would appreciate, and I do. On a separate note, thank you both for bringing me so much happiness and laughs throughout the horrid grad school experience. I finally defended my dissertation in April.
Congratulations.
Grant, you got this! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I've never listened to a podcast that truly made me feel like I was listening with friends. I wish you all the success and happiness. Be gay, do crime, charge phone, and eat that hot chip.
Hell yeah.
Oh. Her name is Gina, she says.
At the very end. I even said on this episode,
I know,
I'm like,
that
sometimes
it
it says at the end.
And I looked at her signature and I didn't. Thank you,
Diana
Gina. Jesus.
Gina.
Fucking Christ. I'm sorry. This wasn't even Dina. This is Monica.
We were actually perfect last episode. So the fact that we keep failing this episode.
When we have all this new fancy equipment and shit.
Out.
Okay. And you wanted me to do the names one?
Do you think we should? Because, I mean, it's kind of a long story. So do we wait until next episode to do it?
Let me see how long it is. What's it called? The one about the names. Mm-hmm. It's just as long as the Gina one.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. You're calling. That's not us saying we don't like long stories. Oftentimes we're like,
cut it.
Put it into the world. Like, I'll shut up.
Do so with my first and last name included if you want.
As Maya reads this and prepares to read it, you guys can't see it because it's just off camera, but she has a bookshelf over here, and on it is a literal organizational system for all your screws and widgets and whatnot.
It's for all the cables for this goddamn podcast.
Girl, I'm at the start of this.
Okay.
So there's all these like widgets, like an organizational widgets things.
Truly?
And then standing guard in front of it is two beautiful things. A power drill and an empty Coors Light can. In case you were wondering who was the masculine energy of this podcast, it's not the girlie who knows how to put together a charcuterie board and knows that sweets never go on a charcuterie board. It was not this one right here. Let me tell you that much.
It's true. I put together so much.
Anyways, the one about the names.
The one about the names. This is from our friend Jessica.
Jessica.
She did give us permission.
I love it. And we got it at the start too. Amazing. Like literally.
No, it was at the end. I just checked in the right place this time. I'm so sorry. You can keep putting permission at the end, and I'll get better at checking it.
Here's what we want at the beginning. We want permission for names, pronouns, where you land on Grant and Maia versus Maia and Grant. No one is really weighing on that anymore.
How you think you spell Maia? Let us know.
How you think Maia spells Maia? Also a really provocative
I don't
question.
know.
Not the same question.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. This is from Jessica. Hi, Grant and Maia. Okay, rude. I'm reading this.
Going according to plan. Good. Excellent. As the person who coordinated the stories tonight.
My name is Jessica, she, her, and I've been listening to the podcast for quite a while now. I've enjoyed every episode thus far and have to tell you that you've made my morning routine and commutes to work so much more enjoyable.
We love it.
You've made our morning commutes more enjoyable. Yeah, true. With our thoughts.
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't know where you don't have a commute, and I do,
I
do enjoy. I love.
I'm supposed to go in tomorrow. We'll see. I was in the middle of listening to episode 63 and just reached the part where you were both discussing names you wanted when you were younger. This immediately struck a chord with me, particularly when Maya said that when she was younger, she wanted a cool nickname and came up with Fox.
That's right.
Okay, Jessica.
We really got into it in that episode.
Really did.
There's a lot of stuff rushing back now.
Okay. And then, of course, triggered my memory of my mom telling me the story of how she named me. Wow, this is really come full circle.
Good.
Even though I personally think it's literally so basic, but I can say that because I'm a Jessica. LOL. Anyway, I thought you guys might find this little anecdote amusing, and I figured it was about time that I too cashed in on the laughs my brother has been getting from this story for years.
Hell yeah.
Literally since the day I was born. Yeah.
Of the episode with your name there. You're like, ha ha ha.
Ha ha, I'm listed in a podcast. Okay.
Well, this generic name's been published, bitch.
i.e. Grant and Griffin
If
right
you
now.
would, thank you for recognizing my struggle. Because everyone in my family hears that story and goes, "Aw," and then I go, "I was named out of a book on a Tuesday," and they're like, "Yeah, that tracks."
You're like,
no one's like, "What?" The tall, gorgeous blonde man who had married a tall, gorgeous blonde woman. He was named by a mythical lake like Narcissus, and that mountain troll over there just has a name from a book.
that mountain troll.
Thank you for
over
not
there.
disagreeing with a single part of that description,
You're
by
welcome.
the way. I live
So
in Denver.
I found out my parents wanted to name me Maya. They named me that because it translates easily to Japanese, and they didn't want to use. I think they wanted to use IA for a similar reason, because ya is a different like character than e, the I symbol. Anyway, the secondary name that they wanted to name me was Sarah.
I don't think I'd be friends with you.
And I was like, thank God.
And it's nothing against Sarah's. It's just
No,
that's
it
not
doesn't
your
fit
energy
me.
at
and
all.
also, I went to a very small religious elementary school, and there
Yeah.
was literally
A lot
four
of Sarahs.
Asians. 4 Asians, right? There was Annabelle, who is South Korean. There was Samantha, who is Vietnamese. And the only other half Japanese girl was named Sarah. And they already mixed us up, and we looked nothing alike. I'll show you a picture of her after. We look nothing alike. Imagine if we were both named.
Listen, the only thing I'm imagining is that a bunch of like private school Lutherans in the
Yep.
90s in the west side of Denver were just like kind of bad at distinguishing Asian people.
Did I tell you-
Which is not shocking to
Yeah,
me.
there was one time, so in 6th grade, they started acclimating us to the period system of like changing classes.
Yeah.
But instead of having us move classrooms, they would have the teachers move to the different classrooms. And so we had this one teacher, I think her name was Miss Roybal. That might be wrong, but she's like an older woman, and we didn't know her that well. She didn't know us very well, and so at some point, some of the guys started just like switching seats on her, and she was getting like obviously a little confused.
Yeah.
But she was getting all the names right still. But it was funny to watch her being confused, and then me and Sarah switched seats, and I had my hand raised for something, and she started calling on me. She was like, Sarah, and I was like, Sarah. And I was like, she was like, Sarah. And I was like, oh, me? And she was like, yeah, Sarah.
Little old me.
I was like,
Caftan action.
I was like, you messed up. You mixed me up with the only other half Asian, half Japanese girl in this classroom. Anyway.
I'm glad you sound so healed from that.
Thank you.
That's
I'm
good.
a little bitter. Okay,
Sorry.
so her brother is making fun of her. When I was born, my mother initially asked my brother what to name me. I think she saw this as an opportunity to have my brother bond with his newborn sister and then be able to have a cute little story to share of how he was the one who named me. However, my brother sadly did not understand the assignment. While taking a look at the infant cradled in his mother's arms, my brother takes all of less than 5 seconds to decide on a name. He then looked back up at my mother and confidently responded with, Frock! British word for dress.
It's a girl. Name it Girl Clothes.
Literally.
Could you imagine? Ashante. My name's Frock. I write Arabian horses and write street poetry. Yeah. Frock. Vanderbilt.
That's literally
Bush.
Romney.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hewlett Packard Oreo.
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you.
Oh my god.
I want to be friends with Frock now. I'm not going to lie about it.
Yeah. Okay, I should mention my mother is a first-generation Jamaican immigrant with a lovely patois accent to match. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if it's wrong. So common British words and colloquialisms were used frequently in our household, which is likely where my brother got the inspiration for this choice of name. Upon hearing my brother's response, the once bustling hospital room comes to a complete stop, followed seconds later by an eruption of laughter.
Anytime there's a British story, I'm like, Maya, I gotta get back to London. Like,
Let's go.
Gotta go. Like, but here's the thing.
We have to stay in the same boat's flat, though.
No, I know. Oh, I know. Get black mold again. Be all J.K. Rowling. I'm not gonna. And did you see that picture? There's a profile picture has like black mold crawling up one of her walls. Anyway, no, the dangerous thing about me being like, we gotta get back to London, and you go, let's go, is that, like, I am whimsical enough to be like, okay,
I will.
Let's go right now.
Casey and I still have separate bank accounts.
Yeah.
Can't control me.
Don't really need to go back in until Monday. Like, if you want to fly out, like, I will delay pizza day for you.
That's love right there. I don't know about this whole erotica bookstore shit. That's love.
No, it's the no AC thing. That was really
that is really.
Sorry,
yeah.
What was Frock saying though?
What was Frock saying?
She's not named anything else right now in this story.
that's
just
Frock. Okay. Eruption of laughter. My mother said she asked him once more to be sure, and to her disappointment, once again, my brother repeated loudly, "Yes, Frock!" All I can say is, thank God she already had a name in mind, so she thanked my brother for the, what I can only call creative, suggestion, and proceeded to call over one of the attending nurses. She frantically reached for the hem of the nurse's shirt, yanked her down, and said, "Please make sure they put Jessica on the birth certificate."
That's a good mom. That's a good mom.
The nurse obliges, and my mother releases her death grip. My mother said after we all made it home, my brother insisted on calling me Frock, and that it calling me by Frock, and that it took him almost 3 months before he actually called me by my government name. This, however, has not deterred my brother from sharing the story with just about everyone he's ever met, including, but of course not limited to, his high school math teacher. Because we all have a very special relationship with that person, who he said found it so funny he laughed uncontrollably the first time he heard it. After that, a simple glance at my brother would have him chuckle and mutter the word "frock" to himself.
Classic British humor.
Yeah. In light of all of this, I will say it has given me a strange appreciation for my name. Not in the sense that I find it particularly special or anything, but simply because I know for a fact it could have been a lot worse. To this day, my brother would agree in an open court to prove just how much I look like a frog. And that
I'll go to jail for the bit.
Yeah,
Watch.
yeah. And that this should have always been my name. I hope you guys found this story even a little amusing. As I've stated before, it's about time I made someone laugh the way my brother has for the past 23 years. You guys are amazing. You're a lifelong listener. Jessica, quote, not Frock Martin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that. Think that's an adorable relationship.
Wait, okay, the PS. PS, if you guys decide to share this on the podcast, you have 100% permission to do so with my first and last name included if you want. Seriously, I'm not at all worried. My name is pretty generic, and I'm honestly just glad it isn't Frock.
Jessica Martin is, and I say this with love, like, startlingly generic.
Compared to Frock!
Listen, through a second cousin who is related to one of my first aunts, and then his whole gang of people. I have like several Martins in one of the branches of my family tree. Yeah. And that's just in, southeast Nebraska,
Nebraska.
So, Nebraska. And I love it. I can say it whenever. We never talk. Maybe it's Patreon stuff because I'm trying to save a little bit of content for it. But if you needed a reason to vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Mama Kamala. That's a
Mamala.
Mamala.
For the nation.
Mama Kamala.
I spent an entire week in Texas working at that speech camp trying to get kids to master a Kamala Harris impersonation. Hasn't been done yet.
It's hard.
It's still out there. Yeah. Yes. Because she's so normal.
She is. Also, Stephen Colbert, after Joe Biden announced that he wasn't running, he was like, I'm so glad to retire these aviators. And he showed them up on the shelf. And he was like, the Joe Biden impersonation is retired. but I can't figure out a Kamala impersonation. So, and then he puts a second pair of aviators on.
I only know about that because when my dad was in town, he was like, we should just watch regular television, and tuned into the antenna. And apparently you can get Stephen Colbert for free.
That's interesting.
Tim Walls
Yes.
has a deep Nebraska connection, and he knows what something called Temperature Tuesdays are. And that's enough to earn my vote.
Temperature Tuesdays.
I'll tell you about it.
Oh, okay,
Don't
cool.
you worry about it. It's going to be in the Me Show next.
So anyway.
Jessica Frock Martin, get the Frock out of here. That was fantastic.
That was the comedic timing was beautiful.
It was well done.
And I'm really glad I can shout Frock without the microphone.
And it's the kind of story you share at your wedding or your 40th birthday, whatever comes first, as is the text in our friend group.
Anyway. If you like the content you saw here.
There we go.
You can follow us on social media. We're Well I Laughed. We're also, if you would like to help fund the podcast, which we obviously greatly appreciate as we just updated all of our equipment and have big plans for the future. We are Well I Laughed Podcast on Patreon. We also have a tip jar on our link tree that no one has yet to use, which is like a little offensive. But
I was vehemently anti-tip at the top of this podcast.
Oh,
at the tip of this podcast.
Hey. Well, I
So
had it up for a while, and then I took it off the link tree because no one was using it. And then one of my close friends from college actually reached out to talk about like LLC stuff.
Oh, cool.
Because she wants to start like doing like modeling and photography and stuff, and also wanted to talk about the podcast. And she was like, "Where can I donate?" And I was like, "Oh, we have a tip jar." And I like turned it back on.
Turn it back on.
Anyway, we have a tip jar where you can buy us a drink, and yeah, we have a YouTube where you can see our brand new studio set up, and you can email us, wellileftpod@gmail.com, where Grant will take 7 to 10 business months to respond.
It's now getting down to like a nice, really tight 3-week cycle that I just kind of cleared out every listener episode where
Which
I'm
is
like,
good.
we used it, or like, we didn't, but you're still lovely and we love you to death, and we just had literally...
And we're still going to probably look at it for the future.
Correct.
And eventually we'll have someone who will just assign us stories to read, and you will be in that
That's the dream.
that cycle.
We're getting back to the fall
Yeah.
too. We're going to do another live show. I can feel it.
Yeah, I can feel it. Now that Casey and I own a home, he doesn't know it yet, and he doesn't edit these episodes, and he doesn't listen anymore. So, like, don't tell him, obviously, but the plan is to host it at
Do you think
our
our
house.
regular listeners laugh when they hear us do the speech, but then also see that there's still 5 minutes left of an episode?
I hope so.
They're like, these
Given the
dummies.
amount of people that have responded gin and tonic, horses, and whatever.
They're like, oh, the real podcast is about to start. Better listen now.
Really? It's really true. Also, I mean, we should look at renting a venue for our next episode.
Yeah.
Or our next live show.
Absolutely. I
And
think
just
that would be really
seeing if we
fun.
can...
Do we then post it to
Yeah.
social medias to see, like, not
We
just
would have to,
our
like,
friends
Well, let's take like a poll to see like who of our listeners would
would
actually
even be interested or even
available to come
Yeah.
for whatever day we pick.
Girl, I'm down.
But yeah, thanks for joining. This was
Truly, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for if you sent in a listener story, whether or not we read it. It will be in our archives for future use if we didn't read it. And thank you to those who did.
And to give perspective, we read 4 to 6 stories tonight,
Yeah.
and we receive about 25 between every single listener episode. So it is
So always send them.
correct. It's not that you're like, oh, you're the one that we didn't include. Like, it's almost
And
always.
I literally didn't read any of them. Grant just assigned me
Maya was moving, so I was
Twisted
like,
dream.
let's make it look like we're working, like the boss is visiting the office.
because I did not have the capacity. Anyway,
One last question.
Yes.
Now that we're here, is cheese still an option?
Jesus.
Bye.
Bye.